Visit isleofwight.co.uk.
What's up, guys, and welcome to the Isle of Wight Masters Round 8. As you can probably see from the camera, the games haven't started yet. So we are 8 minutes past start, but no games started yet. Oh, a couple of games. Okay, 3 games started. But a lot of games haven't started yet. I'm guessing because it's a double round day. We can flick straight to board 2 where they have started. For the record, we only do 1 stream a day, so I guess I can actually just catch you up on this morning's round before we start. This morning we had a draw on board 1 between Bobby Cheng and Boris Tatalbashov, I think that's his name. On board 2, we had a win from Maciej Wadsworth, who is only 11 points away from getting his Grandmaster title. He already has his norms. That was against Stanley, who we were following yesterday, who also unfortunately lost yesterday. So good luck to him this afternoon. On board 3, Ameet Ghasi made a draw with Wojtek Platt, 2 Grandmasters there. And again, board 4, 2 Grandmasters, Sebastian, Bogner and Daniel Gormally made a draw too. And on board 5, our fixed streamer board, Alexandra Prado had a win against Joe Fathala. This is a nice win for her, about 100 rating points higher. Nice. That's how things went this morning. So let's go to round 8, which is where we are now. And on board 1, we have Maciej Wadsworth and Vladyslav Larkin. But like I said, their game has not started yet. So board 2, we have Dutch Grandmaster Thomas Beerdsen and Spanish International Master Marcos Collados. We've been following a lot of his games so far this tournament. And we have a Scotch, which is kind of fun. I feel like we don't see the Scotch that much. And I think it's a fun opening. Personally, the Scotch Gambit is more fun, way cooler.
Is that what you play?
No, I play the Rue Lopez, but the Scotch Gambit is the kind of opening I would like to play. It's just the problem is people know theory and then they play like D5 and you don't get fun stuff, you know?
Yeah. Anything with E4, E5 is always like that.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's a lot of these gambits. If Black knows what they're doing, White doesn't actually end up having that much fun. We have a question from the chat. I feel like there are a lot of draws. Is that common at higher levels? The answer is yes. Especially as the tournament is kind of coming to a close and there are lots of double rounds, people are tired. You end up seeing like a relative amount of draws, I would say, like more than at the beginning of the tournament. And, you know, sometimes if you are clearly winning a tournament, making a draw is enough. I'm not saying that this was the case for any of these players. We've got 2 more rounds. But yeah, draws are common at the higher level compared to lower levels. Yeah.
Yeah, also the positions are usually less critical, like unless a lot of the times both players are playing so solidly that it's hard to break through, even if you are trying to push for a win. Your opponent usually doesn't let you.
Exactly, yeah. And this is one of you don't get to being a grandmaster by letting your opponents walk all over you. You have to have some resilience. This actually is a Scotch Gambit, which is exciting, but this is the main line. Like I said, if Black plays D5, it's just you have a game of chess. And Bishop to B5 is the main move. I think here actually the main move is Knight to E4. And so Knight to D7 is, it's the second most popular move, but we only have around 400 games in the database in this position, so it's not very common. And that's quite fun. Nice to see a slight sideline. Let's see how this goes. And castles, this is the main move in this position. So even though Black is up a pawn here, we're not very concerned about it. We can always grab this pawn again later if we want to. And you also have to consider that if White was willing to play a gambit in the first place, even if they didn't get their like super fun attacking gambit style opening, then they're not too concerned about this pawn. Shall we see if board 1 has started? Nope, still no one there yet.
Also, if we can see the third camera, I think it is. Keith is playing against a young kid. So I'm actually looking forward to seeing that game.
Oh, yeah, you can see. So on our third camera, we kind of have a general view of the playing hall. And yeah, Keith is playing a very small child, so maybe let's take a look at that game.
His feet are not even able to touch the ground.
Oh.
I mean, probably they are, but they're so small. He's so small, I mean.
So we have some questions in chat. Is Bobby Cheng not playing? This is a good question. I just have to assume he's taken a bye, but I can check this out for you. You can find out everyone who's taken a bye. So yes, Bobby Cheng has taken a bye, but it would seem that these are 0-point buys by the way it looks on chess results, which seems very strange.
How many rounds are left?
It's only tomorrow. Tomorrow is the last round.
I think you can't get half a point in the last 2 rounds.
Yeah, which is kind of strange that he's taking the bye, right?
Yeah, that maybe something happened.
Yeah, because he was in joint first with Matthew Wadsworth, both on 6 points. So it's very strange for Bobby Cheng to take a 0-point bye in round 8. When he's tied first place, but we have to assume there was some extenuating circumstances, I guess.
Yeah.
And then we also have buys from Grandmaster Boris Chatalbashev. We have a buy for Grandmaster Wojtek Platt and quite a few.
That's a lot of buys
as well. Yeah, especially for people who are on 5.5 and 6. It's a bit strange, right? It's a little bit strange.
Play 2 rounds.
I think, someone also said those chairs don't look very comfy. This is the reality of chess tournaments. If you're not on the stage, as it were, like if you're not playing on the top boards, you usually don't have a comfy chair. Even these top board chairs are not looking super comfy. Yeah. But usually when you're seeing a chess tournament, when you see the master section, they have these, fancy computer chairs and everyone else is on like a kid's chair, basically.
A foldable.
Yeah, this is exactly a foldable, this is all chess tournaments though, right? This is not unique to chess tournaments even in the UK. It's just the way it is.
There are a few nice ones, but only like Reykjavik I think have some nice chairs, but I guess
I don't even remember what the chairs are like. I don't think they were amazing.
They're not amazing, but they're not like this.
Okay.
I don't think they're foldable.
In my last round or something of the Reykjavik Open last year, because I'm not playing this year, obviously, last year, my opponent picked up his chair and turned it backwards, and then he straddled the chair like a horse.
Yeah, I think this was your first time when you played.
No. It was last year. Oh. It was like mildly annoying. I didn't really think too much of it. But then someone else came up to me after and was like, I can't believe your opponent did that. Like, what a, what a not
weirdo
good thing to do. I'm not going to use the word they use, but because it is kind of strange behavior. Like, imagine if I was, turning my chair around, straddling my chair and leaning over the back of it. I don't think my opponent would appreciate that. But my opponent didn't think much of it. Okay, so we have board 1 started. There we go. And we have an English opening and C6. Knight f3. And actually it's worth mentioning here that you can transpose into a Caro-Kann.
Yeah.
And this is an accelerated Panov now. And you can transpose into a lot of things. Like you can just transpose into a Slav if you want to. So this is, black has to be up for those. But we have more normal English, and we end up getting this position. So white has not pushed d4. I guess they don't want to transpose into a Slav, but it's always possible, right?
Yeah, I guess. Yeah, I guess if white wanted to play d4, then maybe they would have from first move. But I mean, sometimes when you're playing these systems, you already know. A lot of the time, you already play the other openings that transpose into it. So I think even if you did play d4, you probably shouldn't be too uncomfortable.
No, not at all. Like, you're not playing the English opening if you're not familiar with d4, c4 systems. Absolutely. And Queen c2 is kind of fun. I'm not super familiar with this. Queen c2 is like a sideline here. I mean, here d4 is the main move, right? Because this is very principled. And b3 is second. So Queen c2 is a bit different. And this is clearly preparation, you know. I think you don't play chess. You don't play chess at this level without preparing for every opponent. I'm guessing that's why both of them were slightly late for the round, because they didn't have a lot of time to prepare. When you're playing double round day, especially if you're one of the last games to finish, you really are pressed for time, checking your opponent, checking what they play, that kind of thing. It's really annoying, actually. That's one of the problems with double rounds, especially if you're doing well in the tournament and you want to try and win. And if your opponent took a bye in the morning, this is like the worst. This is the worst case scenario, is you have the longest game in the morning round and your opponent took a bye.
Yeah, it's frustrating. But sometimes it's good to be... well, if it was a really long game, then yeah, that's definitely not ideal. But if it was like I don't know, medium length, sometimes I find that I'm more in the chess
zone.
Yeah. And then especially if my game went well and I won, then I'd be a good move to play the next one.
Yeah, that's true, actually. This is interesting, right? Because Maciej Wadsworth has not used any time. And Vladyslav he's used 15 minutes in the first 5 moves, which is quite a lot. Might not seem like a lot if you're not familiar with the opening, but we're assuming white is the one who has prepared here. So I guess he's just remembering his preparation. Yeah, exactly. As you have commented in the chat saying black really wants to play a Slav, white really wants to play in English. So black has decided to just play probably whatever he plays against d4.
Maybe white wasn't prepared for this, for black's response.
This is possible as well. This is also possible. Personally, I don't know Maciej Wadsworth's repertoire, but
I mean, he plays a bunch of things, I'm guessing.
Yeah. I mean, at this level, you do play a bunch of things, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're, I don't know, singular in your affections for chess openings.
I guess Jovanka plays.
Yeah. Yeah, that's exactly who sprung to mind for me when I was thinking, like, well, who doesn't play a bunch of things? But, you know, I think if you're one of those people who just plays the same openings, it's just because you know what you're good at, right?
Yeah.
So actually, I would like to check Jovanka's game today to see how that goes. Not sure if Alexandra Prado is going to be playing her game. It seems she hasn't arrived yet, but I'm going to open Jovanka and let's just see how she did this morning. So this morning she made a draw against a 24-44 rated international master. That's a good result for her at 23-44. This is nice. And Vladyslav lost 15 minutes because he arrived late. Okay, yes, this is true. They were both late, but I guess the arbiters started the clock, or Maciej Wadsworth just wasn't sitting there because there was nobody at the board for a while. Like, I didn't see Maciej Wadsworth arrive early, but maybe he did. Sometimes they start the clock before you arrive, but if neither of you are there, sometimes they don't always start the clock before you both arrive.
Sometimes it seems not to depend. Always. The arbiter just go. I think after maybe 5 minutes, they definitely go around and start everyone's clocks.
Yeah, this is true. But they usually wait and expect it to happen on its own. What's up with multiple players being late? Well, this is something that you see happen on double round days because people need a little break between the games. They have to go and eat something. They have to go and prepare for the next game, and they just generally end up more likely being late for this kind of afternoon round than any other round. And we have a chat message from Johnny saying, I was working with Larkin Saddle Week. So Vladyslav Larkin, this is the person we see on the screen. Could see him refresh chess results every time he went to his computer. Yeah, I mean, people are very invested in tournaments, and chess parents are very invested as well. So it's not just the players. Like a lot of the time, it's a huge family effort. I don't know. I can't relate to that because my parents are not chess parents, but
I think I would prefer for my parents to stay away anyway. It's better to have less pressure because sometimes it depends. If it's helpful, then it's nice, but sometimes too many suggestions can make your head scramble.
Yeah, this is true. It's like getting advice from all sides and you don't know what advice to take. We had a question, what can white do about the black pawn on d5? So it's actually not, we're not too worried about this pawn. It can't be pushed, right? Because we would just be able to capture it in many ways. And yeah, of course, black is going to challenge the center, having a pawn on d5. There's always going to be opportunities for these pawns to be traded. You know, they can be traded every turn, right? It's something that you have to decide at the right moment if you want to take, if black wants to take. And I think it will also depend on if white plays d4. I mean, the exchange Slav is just like not very fun for black. So just like going for that is possible. What do you think, Diana, our resident d4 player?
Well, I think that here, I mean, probably after queen c2, he's not going to rush to take because then the rook will come on to c8 and the open file maybe will just be on the same file as the queen. Oh, and he's played d4. Okay, that makes sense. So he's transposed. Okay. But this queen c2 in these positions is very common. A lot of the time.
It is now, especially if this bishop comes to b4. This kind of thing happens a lot. And I guess, you know, d4 is objectively the most principled move in this position. You're fighting for space in the center. And I mean, white just has a comfy time here, really. And you really have to enjoy playing the Slav, right? It's something I tried to play, but I just didn't have a good time. It's can be difficult sometimes in the Slav to get this light squared bishop developed somewhere you want it. There's always like queen b3 ideas. It's actually one of the reasons why this a6 Slav became popular, because you can always play like rook a7 and cover this, which is kind of crazy, right? It's kind of a fun idea. I guess this g6 move is very useful for bishop f5. There is I guess just bishop to d3, and you can trade off the light squared bishops.
Yeah, this actually looks ideal for black.
Yeah, and I think that's probably why g6 was so nice here. I think that this is actually a fun setup. I never played g6.
No, I've never played the Slav either.
Yeah. Okay, we can take a look maybe at board 3. There's actually something DGT error with board 4, so we're probably gonna ignore it. Board 3 though, board 3 we can look. We have an open Sicilian, so that's fun. And this is Sebastian Bogner with the black pieces. For those of you who have been watching a lot of the commentary, he will be a familiar person to you now. He's on 5 out of 7, so he's doing pretty well in this tournament. There's a couple people on 5.5, a couple people on 6, but depending on today and tomorrow, things could change. He's playing against Norwegian international master Yeah, me just checking the flag. Yeah, Norwegian international master Mads Vestby-Ellingsen. So I'm not familiar with this player, but he's also on 5. So we have e4, c5, of course, because it otherwise wouldn't be a Sicilian, and an open Sicilian knight-off. We had a couple of knight-offs so far this tournament. F4's very energetic way to play. Why not? Knight c6 and bishop to c4. So this is called the Amsterdam variation. I didn't know that.
I mean, it's hard to know every little move.
Yeah, there's 1,000 variations, right? So one thing that we talked about in a couple of these knight-offs is how many options white has here, right? And f4 is actually the 7th or 6th most popular line here. So, I mean, the knight-off is extremely popular. So that we do have 6,400 games here. So it's not like a rare move, but it's nowhere near as popular as like the top 4 options, which all have 10 to 20,000 games in the database. Of course, the most fun option is Rook G1, the freak attack, where you just play G4, G5. And
have you played this?
No, I haven't played it personally, but I knew someone who played it, and it's very fun and silly.
Yeah, it looks good.
Yeah, right? And it actually is good. And why do we not see more of these? We've got, it's like the 15th or something option. I don't know.
Oh, that's giving me some inspiration.
Hold on, let me count for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, it's 11. It's up. It used to be the 15th most popular. Now it's the 11th. Maybe someone played it in a big event. But yeah, Rook G1, yeah, we should see more freak attacks. This is what I'm lobbying for, is to somebody play the freak attack in round 9, please.
Is that what it's called? Oh, right.
Yeah,
it is.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's called.
I'll play that just for the name.
Yeah, exactly. Even someone by the freak attack. Bye, do you play the freak attack? There we go. You know, this is fun because you're just gonna go bam, bam. And actually the second most popular move here is H5, just to try and stop this. Because it's actually quite unpleasant.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. I think, H5 makes the most sense.
Yeah, I mean, E5 is first, but I guess E5, you can always play H5 after. Yeah. And F4 or so is what we have in the game. F4, super common in a lot of Sicilians because we're wanting to do this kingside attack, and F4 gives us a nice head start on that. This knight F5 idea is interesting because this is a big variation. This is only 37 games in the database. The overwhelmingly popular move here is knight to F3, and even knight to B3 is a lot more popular than knight to F5. Knight to F5 is quite bizarre, and I mean, it seems kind of unnatural, right? Because we can get kicked away, but I guess there's just hang. No, it doesn't hang anything, but there must be a problem with this.
The knight on I guess maybe you can just
there must be a tactical reason that G6 is not possible.
Well, I think you want to keep your bishop protecting D6, and if you play bishop to G7, then D6 is going to be more vulnerable even after the knight moves. I think long term you don't want to play bishop G7. But I guess here there is tactical reasons. You can just
F takes.
Yeah, and then you can trade queens, and then maybe bishop G5 pinning the knight.
Yeah, this is the problem. Yeah. Fun. And I guess you're gonna castle with check and lose the game as black. Stuff like this looks very scary. Yeah, knight D7 and then long castles is the main move. So that's interesting because the kind of, as someone who doesn't play this Sicilian, I wouldn't know about this G6 not being possible, so I would just instinctively not jump my knight forward to F5 because it's not very natural, you know. it's much more common for it to go back somewhere. I mean, there's lots of Sicilians, right, where it actually goes to b5, but of course in the knight off, that's not possible. But this is fun and interesting, and it's a different opening than anything we've seen so far this tournament, which is nice. And it's really interesting to me here that the top engine move is just to get rid of the knight, because this is scary.
Yeah, and I think often you do give away, well, not give away, but you trade that bishop, I think.
Yeah, it just takes, and then I guess at some point you get this pawn as, well, you try to get this pawn as black, if you can. Yeah,
long term, I think you can put pressure on it, but there's probably no rush. Mainly you need to develop and get your king to safety. Same with white.
Mean, apparently it's totally fine for black to long castle here, which just looks terrifying to me.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's difficult to deal with. If you ever play bishop e7, then there's always going to be maybe, well, I guess here it doesn't work, but if the queen goes like queen d3, queen g3, I don't like those kinds of positions. And it looks like since white has this pawn on f5, maybe the attack on the king side is just much harder to deal with, whereas the c file is open, but there's no rook that can control the whole c file.
Yeah, this is true. This is very true.
And your king can just go to b8.
Yes, exactly. You can just step out. But this is a fun position here after bishop c4. I'm excited to see how this game goes. I'm just gonna take a quick look at Jovanka's game, because we're Jovanka fans, and she has of course played the Caro-Kann against e4. And just an exchange, Caro-Kann.
Oh, so this is what I play.
With e5? No.
Well, I mean, usually she did
e5.
Yeah, I've never played against e5, but I play this with white.
Okay, cool. And so what do you do here when they play e5?
I've never played against it, but I mean, I think you have to take because you don't want to allow e4.
Yeah, of course, but I've also never seen this, and I'm just wondering how that I have never ever seen this. But yeah, e5 is the second most popular move, and I'm kind of surprised that we're okay with knight takes d3.
Yeah, I'm surprised too. Why is bishop c2 bad?
Well, I guess we're then slightly behind in development after like. Not this move, sorry. After this, like this kind of move, then they've got 3 pieces, and we're a little bit behind. I'm not sure. Yeah, bishop f5 seems very logical. Dream isolated queen's pawn for black. Yeah, I guess this is why I've never seen this, because I avoid any mention of the IQP ever happening. So this is the game we have on the board. We have knight takes bishop, because if you can take the bishop, you do take the bishop, and this kind of position. So, I mean, black has the bishop pair, but white has, you know, quite nicely developed pieces. Very nice rooks, particularly.
Yeah, both rooks in the center. It looks nice.
Yeah, it looks nice, right?
And then you can play knight d3, knight d4, and get the other knight into the center.
Yeah, this is true, and that's exactly what we want to do. Is we want to blockade the isolated queen's pawn and control the square in front of it. So, and it's nice because then we also control like these kinds of squares, and we can always hop in and annoy these pieces as well, which is nice. But I actually would be quite happy as whites here. Even though I don't have the bishop pair, I think the knights are very nice.
Yeah, definitely. I like the knights, especially if you can put a knight on d4, then you're just blocking in the light square bishop. Oh, and that's what he did.
Yeah, got one in. And this knight can now just come to f3. And
yeah, so it's the same thing.
Here. Yeah, it's the same thing, but actually I guess it's better because well, it's faster.
Is it? It's the same.
Well, it feels faster because we're not putting something on b3, and I have this fervent belief that knights don't belong on b3. Like I don't know, like the knight on f3 is the perfect defensive piece, right? It's the perfect defender of the king. And
you'll still have a knight on f3.
Yeah, but if it goes through b3, I don't know. It feels like a bad vibe. And I'm right. The engine doesn't like it. The engine doesn't like it. So I was right. The vibe is bad. I don't know why it feels wrong, but I guess you just want to put a knight here as soon as possible and stop anything from coming in as soon as possible. Like you don't want.
I think it's the exact same
inhabiting
thing.
These. Yeah, probably is. Probably is. It's just vibes based, like all chess. All chess is vibes based. This is what we're gonna find out. Did Alexandra Prado default her game?
She's also not live on Twitch.
I'm just gonna check to see if she posted something on her Instagram so that I can update you guys properly. Because she didn't post today about this morning's game.
Kaya, you can ask away as long as it's a serious question.
No questions allowed. Did Alexandra default? I guess it will say on the chess results page. So this is something I can tell you is currently there are no results on chess results, so doesn't seem to be confirmed.
So she didn't take a buy.
No, I don't think so. She was paired this round. And I know she won. She won this morning, and so I asked the organizers, can you send me Alexandra's camera, and they said she's not here yet, and this was around the time that we started streaming.
And what's the default time?
It's only like half an hour, I think.
Oh,
yeah. And I said, well, and they said, well, maybe she's taken a buy. And I said, well, no, she's been paired, so she can't be taking a buy. And so nobody knows. This is the up-to-date response is nobody knows, except Alexandra. I guess maybe it's possible she was having tech issues. Maybe it's possible that she thought she took a buy, or that she'd registered to take a buy and that she was mistakenly paired.
Maybe.
There's some possibilities. Is the Isle of Wight the same as the Isle of Man? I think you've answered your own question by giving them two separate names there. Is France the same as England? Like, no. Like, they're just two different places with two different names. You've answered your own question.
UK and England can be confused, but
they are two different things. The UK comprises, Scotland, Wales, Northern Ireland, England, Isle of Man, Isle of Wight.
No, it's a separate tournament.
Yeah, they're two different things. And okay, so back to our English opening / Slav transposition. That we had. So bishop to d3 was not played by Vladyslav, and instead queen to b3 was played. So this is what I was saying about Slavs, actually, is that it can be hard to develop the light squared bishop purely because of these queen to b3 ideas. But a6, you can play b5 now, and b5 is what's played. I will just say that I'm not not unhinged nor insane, because rook a7 is the most common move here. So check out Lula's openings knowledge. Rook a7, very quirky move. Did you know actually that this move was played in like a Grandmaster game? And then the rook came back, and then the Grandmaster illegally long castled.
Really?
Yeah, and neither of the Grandmasters noticed.
No way!
Yeah, and Black went on to win the game. And the commentators, were like, what do we do? Because they couldn't interfere. They were just commentators, right?
But they couldn't have even gone on the board because it's an illegal move.
Exactly. So I remember there's footage of them trying to make long castles happen. I can send this to you after. I can send it. They were trying to make it happen, and then the commentators realized, the rook moved way earlier in the game, because when he tried to castle, it was really, really deep into the game already. And so everyone involved had forgotten that the rook had moved. And I mean, if your opponent doesn't notice your illegal move, the game goes on, right?
Yeah.
And once the score sheets are signed, there's actually nothing that can be done about anything, Once you've signed your score sheet, the result is the result.
Oh my god, that's crazy. I've never heard of anything like that happening.
Yeah, but here, b5 is also possible, and b5 is what was played. So we fight for space, and c takes d5 now must be played, because obviously if we just play some other move, then this is terrible. Like, this is so bad. So we take. This reminds me like a little bit of the French. Sometimes you get this pawn structure as white, and it forces this central exchange. And now c takes d. And actually this is quite nice for Black, because otherwise you have to find a way to play c5. And by playing b5 here, you kind of solve that problem yourself without having to support and push c5. I guess the annoyance is that the c5 square is forever weakened, right?
Yeah, if you can get a knight on d3, I guess. Or b3, your favorite.
Yeah, b3. In the line with the French, there's often tactical things where you can play like knight a4, because usually there's like a bishop on b7 and it would hang. So sometimes, like, tactically you can play knight to a4 if any piece were to go, if any piece, undefended piece were to go here, can be possible. So knight to e5 is played, and e6. And I feel like I've played positions like this maybe from the Black side before, but I feel like I am less familiar with like what White's got going on. Which side would you rather play, Diana?
I've definitely had positions like this with White, but the bishop on f5 is kind of annoying. Also, so is the c4 square. Yeah, it's hard. I think I like the knight on e5, and I'm more familiar with White, so I would choose White. But I think e6 and g6 can cause some problems for Black.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Normally, Super has said that as well. Yeah.
Yeah, e6 and g6 can be super suspicious by weakening your dark squares so much. I guess Black. I believe though that Black knows what they're doing here. Like, I think he's played this before. This kind of position, and e6 is the top move. So it also makes sense that you need to support d5, and you just need to develop. I guess your bishop will go to g7 regardless. And
probably he played g6 just to play bishop to f5, and maybe the bishop will actually go to d6, because
it's possible.
If you bring your bishop to g7, then maybe the queen can just go to b4 or something. Well, yeah, I'm thinking that the bishop on g7 doesn't have as much space.
Yeah, this is true. It's queen to b4 could be an annoying move to deal with.
Yeah, and it's
So,
annoying
like,
because black can't play knight c6.
yes, this is also very annoying. And if you try to develop, then the knight will come in potentially and be more annoying. So yeah, maybe you have to just play bishop to d6. And actually, I think this position is very nice for white because you can start to prepare even like e4 and things like this. I guess castles you can probably castle, right?
Yeah.
Like it feels a bit suspicious, but you can castle.
Yeah, you can castle, like,
Yeah.
there's no, also, white's light square bishop is kind of blocked in as well, so the dark square is, sorry, did I say light square? Dark square bishop, you can't
Yeah.
really use it.
Right. So maybe that's why we would go for like e4. So actually h5 is top engine move, which is kind of fun.
Well,
I
sorry,
guess,
actually f3 is just threatening to play g4.
Yeah, it is starting to play g4 and trap the bishop here. So you have to play h5.
Yeah.
And then just e4. And this is quite nice for white, right? Because your bishop suddenly becomes very good.
Yeah, and you have a beautiful center, you have a nice rook. Looks really good. But wait, the pawn is just hanging. Knight can take.
Yeah, you're right. It can take, but I guess you just have the compensation of your beautiful bishops.
Yeah, that's... but what black also has some nice bishops. And d4 is now weak as well.
Yeah, but don't blame me. This is what the computer wants.
Wait, here you're gonna end up losing on f7 if you save your rook, so you're actually gonna lose an exchange. So actually you have the same amount of
this
material.
is true. You will, you'll lose the exchange. And white has ideas like, the queen coming in and taking here, and you can't play f6 because then you can take on g6 with check and this kind of stuff. So actually white has quite a lot, I think, right? ac6, you can just take if you want to.
Yeah, this looks complicated.
Yeah.
Lots of tactics.
Yeah, lots going on. Lots and lots going on. This should be quite nice for white. Should we skip to board 2? Scotch gambit. I feel like the camera moved since I set up. Maybe I will edit that. Always interesting when things move post setup. Okay, so where were we? We were here, I think, after knight to d7, which I said was not the main move. We have castles, bishop e7, and c3. So this is just now very much in the spirit of the Scotch Gambit opening, where, we're just saying, I'm going to gambit the pawn regardless. I don't need to take it back. Now d takes c3, knight takes c3. Black is still up a pawn, of course. And knight to b6. a4. a5. So no a5 from white, sorry. Bishop to e3, bishop to e6, knight to d4, and bishop to d7. This is nice, forcing the bishop back. So otherwise you have tactical problems. I actually really like this for white. What do you think?
Yeah, it looks good. I think you're also going to have maybe some problems with the e5 pawn, but your pieces are nicely placed. Probably there's going to be some exchanges, and it looks like, well, not necessarily
Don't say the D word.
Drawish.
Yeah.
I was going to say equal.
Okay, good.
But I mean, it's hard to see already where you're gonna play. Like, I'm thinking, is white's idea to play f4, f5, or rook c1 and play on the queen side? It's not so obvious. Or maybe probably you're not gonna put too much pressure on the d5 pawn because c6 is gonna come after some trades. I mean, right now white has to, like you showed with the arrows, has to decide if they're gonna trade the knight on c6 or maybe move the knight back if they don't want to allow the trade. So White has to decide, or just leave it and maybe connect the rooks and move the queen.
Yeah, and Black can castle probably next turn if there are no trades. I think that when you say this position looks equal, if you can have an equal position down a pawn, doesn't that just show that the gambit has at the very least worked? Because you're down a pawn. So if we have an equal position down a pawn, like, then we have a pretty decent position, right?
But you would be slightly better with white anyway, so you wouldn't even need a gambit.
Yeah, but I think we have nice, and like this semi-open c-file it can be quite nice. And I think you can just like queen f3 and just, you're gonna try and be
that's true. You
annoying.
I think the Scotch gambit is one of the gambits that maybe to me seem like you don't get as much pressure as in others. Like I think in the Smith-Morra maybe you get a little bit more pressure, because here in a lot of times with gambits you might have a really good light square bishop, but here it's hard unless you bring it back to d3. If your bishop was on d3 and Black had castled, then I would maybe prefer it a bit more. But here it's hard to see why I gave away the pawn, because Black seems like kind of more solid. Okay, I'm ahead in development, and Black's gonna take a lot of time to be able to move the queen out, and also his pieces looked a bit cramped, and we have a lot of space with e5, but it's not like we can't play queen g4, or we can play f4, but then we're still going to allow that trade on d4. Do we want to trade? And then the bishops are also going to trade. The more pieces that are traded, the easier it is to deal with Black.
Yes, this is true. This is true. I think the Smith-Morra is like the best gambit anyway. But
do you play it?
I've tried.
But I like playing against it,
stopping
actually.
it, right? There's nothing stopping the bishop from coming back to d3. But you like playing against it?
Yeah, I really like playing against it.
What do you play?
Just like e6 and then bring the knight to g6, develop the bishop, and just hold on to my pawn.
Okay. One thing that I learned through the many years I've been playing chess, which is not that many, is nothing feels worse than being up a pawn.
Really?
Yes. I've never, like in classical chess, when you're up a pawn, your whole life purpose is now just hanging onto your pawn. And I feel just like that's not what I want from my chess games. I don't want to be just trying to hold onto my pawn, try to trade down and win the ending that way. Like I want to be the one who's gambiting the pawn and
but don't you play Queen's Gambit Accepted?
Yeah, but I don't hold on to it.
Oh, but you don't play b5.
You almost never do.
Oh,
it's not super common unless they play something silly.
I mean, there are worse. There are worse. I mean, yeah, okay, there are better things. I know what you mean. It's hard when you have material and then you feel like you need to actually do something with it, but also like there's nothing worse than giving up a pawn and not having any compensation for it.
Yeah, this is true. Not having compensation is bad. I still think that there's nothing nothing feels worse than being up a pawn.
Okay, we'll add that to the quote list. That's I think I've never heard that before. But I know it's actually a good quote because I can see how it's relatable. I think I'm a serial holding on to material person, but also I do like sacrificing a lot. So I think if I'm up a pawn, then I'll feel like less pressure because I can always just give up a pawn and then I'll still be fine.
This is true. Yeah.
Yeah.
This is true. I mean, if you're just up a clean pawn, of course, that's amazing. But when is a pawn really free, right? Like, it's no such thing as a free lunch, no such thing as a free pawn.
Depends who you're playing.
This is true. This is true. I feel like my opponents I've played who are the kind that would just give me a free pawn usually give me like free checkmate instead. You know, like they don't usually just drop a pawn, they're going to drop more than a pawn. And if it's a pawn I've had to work really, really hard for, then
it's not even worth it.
Yeah. It's like, I can't believe I just spent the last 10 moves trying to win one pawn.
That's so funny. Yeah. I mean, it's true. I actually think I enjoy playing against gambits because I always feel like, well, you have to prove it. Like, if you're gonna give me material, then okay, I'll just take it. And I also do like playing gambits because then I actually feel that my opponent does have more pressure usually, and then I have so much activity. So it's a win-win. I'll take the material and I'll give it away.
That's good. It means you can do both. I think that my rule that I follow, which is a very common rule, is you can take one pawn but don't take two. So when they gambit one pawn, take it. But if they try to gambit the second one, you usually avoid it.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I guess that's similar in the Smith Morra when sometimes they play after c3, then they don't take it back.
Yeah, they'll try and get you to
take the b2 one as
again. Well. That's more common in like the Goring gambit in the Danish.
Oh yeah, that's true. I think that's what I'm thinking about. Yeah.
You think? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but no, you can gambit like up to 3 pawns. It's crazy. It's really crazy. Yeah, so I have a chat comment saying often a tactic that gains a pawn comes with some kind of loss of tempo. Yeah, so like taking on b7, for example, right? You can usually win a pawn or something by with your queen. There's loads of openings like this. Like there's even the knight off poison pawn variation. And the whole point is that the pawn is at the cost of all of this tempo on the queen.
Yeah.
Or tempo on whatever piece you're going to take the pawn with.
Yeah, those are always risky to take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just gonna actually look up Alexandra's game to make sure we don't have her this round. Yeah, it did seem like she defaulted the game, which I'm very surprised. Trying to find that game with Rook A7, Rook A8 and long castles. Yeah, hold on, I can get it for you.
And then maybe we can have a look at Keith's game as well. I want to see how he's getting on against the kid.
My bad. It was an international master, but I think that still counts.
I mean, anyone titled or above 2000 castling illegally is definitely weird.
All right.
Oh, okay, yes. I have it. It was this YouTube video. Here you go, guys. Won his game with an illegal move. Black played his rook from a8 to a7. Yes, this is the exact one I was thinking of. Okay, yeah. So Alexandra defaulted. Disappointing, but maybe she thought she took a buy. Possible. Can go back to having Jovanka's game here, and maybe we should look. We should look at board 1 because of this g6 e6 weakened dark squares situation, because actually what I thought would happen hasn't happened. So f3 did happen, right? So we're still going for this, and h5, of course, we're not letting the bishop get trapped. Bishop d2. And then just knight b to d7. So I really thought that black was going to get this bishop developed.
Yeah.
Right? So that they could, at least have the king side fully developed, even if they're not castling right away. But and actually Stockfish likes this bishop d6 move. But knight b d7 and developing the queen side is what happened. And actually, yeah, surprised. And so now knight takes d7. And so do you capture back with the queen or the knight? What do you want? And does it make a huge difference? I mean, of course, it makes some kind of difference, but taking with the knight, I guess, allows you to get a piece to c4. Potentially.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Potentially there. But taking with the queen, helps us with completing our development, that kind of thing.
Yeah, maybe you also want to keep your queen covering. Maybe your queen on d7 isn't the most useful on that square. Well, I'm just thinking about the dark squares if you're going to play bishop g7, but if you play bishop d6, I think... Good question. I don't know, actually.
We have to assume that this is what Matthew Wadsworth is deciding on, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Because
he's not thinking about taking with the king.
No, but I guess he's deciding where he wants this knight to go more than with the queen, because the queen is very mobile, right? If she goes to d7, she can still go anywhere else. But the knight, if it doesn't come through d7, like, what's it going to do? Where is it going to go? c4 is definitely definitely a potential home. And let's just take a quick look at this. So maybe continuing with e4 and d takes, pawn takes. You have to play bishop to g4 or your bishop is trapped.
Oh, yeah. What happens after h3?
Yes, this is a fair question. There's checkmate into.
Yeah, there's checkmate. Nice.
So this is not gonna happen. Just in case anyone's wondering, I don't think that this is gonna happen. But it's very nice that this bishop is actually just tactically defended. And of course, the whole point is that g3 would then not be defended. So you cannot play g3 to stop the queen. It's going to be mate. Of course, any other move, you can't give this mate because g3 is defended. Very basic. Very, very basic king safety. And this is quite nice because this bishop is rather annoying. And actually, it's not super easy to get rid of it. Like if you play bishop to e2, then you're going to have to like undevelop your knight. And
yeah, it's weird because white has such a nice center, but you'd think white is better, but actually the lack of king safety is a big problem.
Yeah, and I was just thinking also that because we took care with the knight, if this knight comes to c4, you might always have to consider bishop takes, right? And we can't if we try to get rid of this bishop.
Yeah.
So actually this bishop is really hard to deal with. That's a very, very annoying position. And very curiously, in this position, actually, knight takes b5 is the top engine move. I think if you play this, then Kramnik starts the procedure. And then here...
you don't even take it back.
Here, h3.
Okay. That's it's weird to give up a piece and then allow.
Yeah.
Oh, you win the bishop back. Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, you win the bishop back. This is actually super, super creative, right?
Yeah.
This is kind of crazy.
That's true. That's cute.
But then queen takes d4. I think you're still not happy. I think here you're still not happy. None of this feels good. Oh, I guess you can't do that because of this skewer. But this is weird.
Yeah, this is not a position that you usually get.
This is actually one of the few times where I'm thinking I actually really love engines, because on a human level, like everyone can see this bishop is annoying and everyone can see this bishop is hard to get rid of. And then the engine finds this absolutely crazy idea to actually just remove this bishop, to delete it from the board. And it's really, really crazy. But also you can just play a normal move. I wanted to say you could just play like bishop to d3, but the engine hates normal developing moves.
It's not too bad. It's not too bad.
Yeah.
Like maybe bishop.
This is
I
probably
guess
what
your
I would
d4
play.
pawn is very vulnerable. So you need to after bishop g7, then you need to defend it.
Yeah. Oh, but actually you can play just e5. I am just concerned about getting my king safe. I guess we have to go this way, but then I feel like I'm gonna get mated at some point. I don't know.
Yeah. Really,
Anyway.
it's just the d4 pawn that looks vulnerable because bishop g7, then if we play e5, then queen b6, and there's just a lot of pressure on that pawn, and you don't want to allow then a knight to get into d5. So I think we want to try to avoid e5.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. But actually we do have knight takes on the board, so not saying that we would get any of these crazy lines, but e4 is definitely in the air, like it can be played.
Yeah, he's probably, I mean, definitely it looks like the most natural move. And also a4, any type of pawn break, but bishop e2 probably is also considered. Because then we can
just... The thing is about e4 is it does weaken the king, right? So
yeah.
So what he might be thinking is, like, should I play it now or should I wait? And this is a big question in chess because sometimes if you wait too long, you can't play your move anymore.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, I guess I think White will still be able to get it unless the knight goes back to f6. Yeah.
Yeah, this is true, and we didn't play knight takes d7 just to play knight back.
Yeah.
Okay, we can maybe take a look at another game because Vladyslav is thinking. He's very focused.
Let's have a look at Keith's game as well.
Okay, yeah, we can go and look at Keith.
I want to see how he's getting on against the kid.
So let's switch.
And we can also see them too.
Camera 3. We can see Keith over here with his very young opponent whose little feet don't touch the floor. We have already 27 moves. Okay. We've got d4, knight f6, knight f3, d6, c4, g6. You know when kids play these like kinds of openings, I never understand it. I think that
was the first opening I played as well.
Okay, so hear me out. I think coaches just teach it to kids as like a system, right?
Yeah, I think so too. I think it's because the coaches are lazy. So yeah.
I agree actually. Like I played a kid in England, he played the modern, and he just had no understanding of like how you have to go for pawn breaks and fight back in the center with it.
Yeah.
You know, I think for kids, it's very hard if you're not learning classical openings that take space on move one.
Yeah, I think mainly I think the first openings that you should learn as a kid is always the hardest ones because then you already get it out of the way because it's much harder to learn harder things later on when you're already so used to playing these systems. So I would encourage kids to either start with e5 or c5 because they are the main things against e4. But
they're
here,
the most challenging.
Yeah, and this is just objectively not the best opening for black, so you don't want to start off with this.
This is true. Okay, at least we have c5, but now white has a bunch of space.
Yeah, and I'm sure Keith is really happy playing these positions.
I'm sure Keith is happy because knights don't belong on b3 and b6. Like, let's be so for real for a moment. Does this knight have any business being here? Absolutely not. Like, absolutely not.
Okay, here I would agree with you. But if you move somewhere else to reroute it, then I think that there's no problem with it. I mean, here also you are attacking on c4, so maybe you're encouraging b3. Yeah, but how are you going to defend the pawn? Because maybe if you encourage b3, then it's not so bad because you open up the diagonal. And then after queen d3, there's maybe some bishop f5 ideas. I mean, I don't think it's the best, but it does have some ideas.
That's true. Bishop f5,
And
I
then
think you
here
can
there's
probably play
E4.
e4,
Yeah.
and you'd be very happy. This wasn't played. We just had bishop to d7 and then e4 anyway. And we have Colonel on the YouTube chat. Colonel, come to Twitch. So, and e4, I would be very happy here as white.
Yeah,
with this position.
definitely. I mean, you're happy for move 1, seeing d6.
And now a6, which is interesting because actually around here, a6 was a pretty fine idea to, I guess, maybe play like rook b8, a6, b5. This kind of thing is maybe possible.
I think
or even just to play a6,
play
b5 and
b5.
sack the pawn is possible.
Yeah, and then you could go into something like the Benko, but I think it's a bit too late to get into that.
Yeah, but it's still a possibility.
No, it's definitely I would go for that, yeah. Because I actually do play the Benko, and once I lose the pawn, then I get my opponent to stress for having a pawn.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Like you were saying.
Okay, so instead we have this with a6 now, and a6 now is not ideal. Like it doesn't do anything, right? We're still in the opening, we're still developing our pieces, and we've played like, okay, what you could call in maybe the meanest way a nothing move. Like it just genuinely doesn't do really anything. All it does is kind of stop anything from coming to b5, but that's not really a concern at the moment. Or would you be concerned about it?
I think this is just so hard to play for black. It's really hard to decide where you're playing. Probably he is planning to play b5 sometime. Maybe he's worried about knight b5, but yeah, you're right. I don't think that's something that you need to worry about. Even if the knight does go to b5, you can just take it. But
I mean, now the knight is just very badly placed.
Yeah, I agree. And you can't even go back to d7.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah. These positions are really hard because you always have to choose if you play c5 break or e5 break, and most of the time e5 break is a bit easier because you can pair it with f5, but with c5 you just have a good bishop, so that's playing for your g7 bishop. But you're not really able to use it so well. I mean, you're not able to use it at all, really. Maybe until the end game.
Yeah. And I'm very curious about this move knight g4 because I would simply play h3, and I'm not afraid of knight e5, I don't think.
Yeah, I guess you just trade it.
Yeah. Oh, okay. We've lost cameras. Let me check. Mr. Dodgy playing against a Benko. Maybe let's have a look at it.
Yeah, let's go. I always like seeing Benkos coming up.
Okay.
It's my favorite opening.
Well, if you're an expert, then you can tell us all about it, because I don't really know. I don't really know anything about the Benko. Okay, kind of Benko-y. So we have d4, knight f6, c4, g6, and
h4.
If Mr. Dodgy sees g6, he's always going to play h4.
Really?
And I learned this from him. I do this as well.
Oh, that's really nice. I've never played that.
Really?
Yeah.
I love it. It's fun. It's so fun.
Yeah, it looks really good.
It's really fun.
It gives same vibes as rook g1, g4.
Yeah, it does. It does. You're right. No, I mean, Ginger GM has this chessable course called the Harry Attack, which is all about like these h4 lines, and can be very fun. So, okay, c5 and d5, d6, e4, castles, bishop b2, e6, h5.
Okay, this is not Benko.
No,
this is similar to what Keith is playing against.
Yeah, kind of similar. Now b5.
Oh.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm guessing knight takes, or
Yeah.
yeah.
And okay. Okay. It's definitely an
Oh
interesting
wow!
position.
Queen a4 to h4. Nice.
Yeah, this is nice. This is really nice. I would love to be able to play this. Actually, I mean, let's see. Does he play the one good move to keep the advantage? He does.
That's good.
King F1 is very spicy. Really, really spicy.
Yeah,
And
this
cameras
is
are
maybe
back.
you can
Nice.
even bring the a rook if you play rook d1, rook d3, rook h3, and then you don't even need to develop the rest of your pieces.
Oh my gosh, this is definitely something Mr. Dodgy would think about. No, this is really, really spicy. This is really nice. And okay, but are we just thinking about just taking and coming in here?
Yeah, you're either winning a full piece or getting mate soon, probably. This is really nice for white. What? I'm surprised that it's only plus 1.6.
Rook e4 is the top move. And then knight d7.
Is the d6? Yeah, the d6 pawn is hanging.
Yeah, you can just play knight d6 now. Rook e2 is the top move. That's crazy. Oh no, sorry, you can't take with the king. Of course, you take with a knight.
Yeah, I guess there's queen a6 check and you pick up the knight.
Yeah, of course. So, I mean, as white, you have to be very happy.
Yeah, this looks really, really good. Okay, maybe you're a tiny bit worried about the king on f1, but black doesn't have many pieces attacking the king.
You're up so many pawns.
Yeah.
Okay, so bishop takes pawn. You get one back. And then I mean, you just want to kick one of these knights away, really. That's the goal. I guess it's easier said than done. Mr. Dodgy will figure something out. This is the kind of position he's been wanting to get for the whole tournament, honestly. So I'm very happy for him that he's finally getting it today. Very nice for him.
Yeah,
let's take a look. Let's take a look at board one. Good, we've got board one camera back as well. Oh, nothing has happened, and Vladyslav is down a lot on the clock. Okay.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
Yeah. So like was mentioned in chat earlier, he was about 15 minutes late to the game, but now he is down to 38 minutes on move 12, and this is a really big problem because there's no time control, as we've learned throughout this tournament. If you get into time trouble, you stay in time trouble.
Yeah, and I guess you're used to playing with time control.
Yeah.
Also,
I mean,
they
they're
did
8 rounds in. Sorry?
I was saying that they did have an earlier game as well, so he's probably just really tired.
Yeah, he's probably exhausted. This is very, very relatable. Okay, well, let's move on because he hasn't played a move. So, board 2. And we have another knight on b3.
Okay, so why didn't want to trade? Which makes sense because you don't really want to trade when you're playing gambits.
Yes, yeah, that's fair. We should probably show why you can't play knight takes pawn. Because I don't understand it myself. Like, it does look like
I guess
a free
rook
pawn.
e1 looks annoying.
I mean, you just come back, right? And then you get castled.
Yeah, that's true. And bishop g5 doesn't work?
I guess I was gonna say you push, but you can't. I guess this is too risky.
You are protected with the knight, so it should be fine.
Takes. I guess you can play it this way.
Yeah.
Another rook
I guess
a7
now you
mentioned.
lose the pawn back, so the gambit then actually I think I would actually like this for white because now black's pawn structure is not great, but you don't have the bishop pair. So the bishop, the dark square bishop for black can be really strong.
I guess you have really good knights though.
Yeah. Well, actually, you can win a pawn right now with knight takes a5.
Yeah, that's true. You can just win a pawn outright. But I mean, black doesn't have to go for this. Black doesn't have to take here. But this is all possible. So I guess that's something that black is calculating right now, if he wants to try and do this, or if he should just castle and deal with it. Then I guess you can take on here.
Yeah.
I don't hate this. I think that these scotches are always very calculation heavy. It's one of the reasons I don't play it. There's like a lot of concrete stuff you have to
yeah, and the annoying thing about it is it's calculation heavy, and then you just get an equal position. As like Sicilian is also calculation heavy, but you get a crushing attack, or like you lose very critically. But here it's just feels like a lot of work for not much.
Yeah, you never, yeah, this is true. You always just go into some kind of equalish, like middle game, end game, which the thing is like, if you want to be a Scotch player, you really have to love fully open positions because these pawns always like dissolve somehow in the middle. You're not playing like a semi-closed position. This isn't anything like an Italian or like a Spanish. The Scotch really is like truly open games.
Yeah.
And you have to therefore be tactically sharp because open games are where you get a bunch of tactics, and you just have to love calculating.
Yeah. Yeah, you have to be sharp.
So that's one of the reasons why I don't play it. But we can take a look at board 3. Someone in chat saying, I thought you had the bar turned off. We've had the bar on for the whole tournament. So literally the whole time. This is where we got to, and bishop to e6 is actually very strange, right? Because I guess I understand the idea is this would make it an inhospitable place on f5 for the knight. But you're not obliged to take here by any means. And actually, this is a waste of your time because then you've spent tons of time moving your knight around. You can just play bishop to b3, which is what was played in the game. And we have g6 to kick the knight instead. And now this tactic is not so good. Because you can play knight takes instead of pawn takes.
Yeah, and then that pawn on d6 is looking vulnerable. But I guess e4 is also isolated, so maybe it's. But
I mean, this is what happened. So knight takes and then knight to e3. So we have quite an imbalanced position now. What's up, Amelia, in the chat? Amelia, who recently played her first tournament in Sligo, and Diana, you've been like in charge of commentary for Sligo for the past couple of years.
Since it started.
Since it started.
Yeah,
so you've never
it's only
played
been around
yourself.
for 4 years. No, I've never played it. It's in a very awkward location. I'm sure Amelia can tell us about it. It's really hard to get to.
But I've heard only very good things about it. Like the venue is great. You have all DGT boards.
Yeah.
Very professional. It's a weekend tournament. Like I've heard only good things.
Yeah, I think it's one of the best tournaments in Ireland, definitely. And there are a lot of sections as well. So I think it's actually better for lower rated players than high rated, because I think the master section doesn't have that many high rated players, but yeah, there's no way to get there with public transport, which is, I mean, that's kind of a thing in Ireland anyway, but most tournaments, I guess, are in Dublin, which is much easier to get to around the city. But I definitely recommend playing it for anyone who's looking for a weekend away. And Sligo is really a really nice location. It's just probably cold around this time.
Yeah, as everywhere in the UK is.
Yeah.
So we've got actually bishop to g7 in this position, and this is actually another game where we've got like ENG pushed, but the difference is here we've got a pawn on d6 to try and cover the dark squares. So this is a different way of dealing with it. And now castles, and knight e to d5. Yeah, and you never really want your, I mean, this is not a place you really want your knight because it's blocking in your bishop, right? Yeah. And if your bishop ever were to like, I mean, it can't go any other way right now, but if it ever were, then it would be a loose piece, and we don't want a loose piece. So we can play bishop takes, and rook c8. This is what we have. So this is interesting because we're not afraid of knight takes, because then we would have this mega knight on an outpost. And everyone who's ever played chess before knows that knight on this kind of outpost is going to just be the best piece on the board.
Yeah, that's a really nice knight.
Yeah.
So black is not worried about bishop takes b7 because of queen b6 check and picking up the bishop.
Yes, this is, sorry, it's not our turn, but yeah, this would be a big deal. This is another problem with loose pieces. Loose piece is a piece that's not defended. It's very vulnerable to double attacks, forks, checks, however you want to phrase it. This is not actually hanging. This is a poison pawn, very poisoned. Yeah. Like I said, there's nothing, no things with free pawn.
Yeah. A lot of the time, the b7 and b2, you have to be careful before taking it. But here, the problem, if there was a pawn on f2, I think you could just take it because b2 is defended, and also you're taking with the bishop. Usually, you don't want to take with the queen because your queen is misplaced, but your bishop can just go back to d5.
Yeah, this is also a good point. Shall we? Maybe, I mean, in all of these other streams, we've had a couple more games to focus on. We've had Alexandra. I guess we can see, okay, we had a short draw on board 4, so we can ignore board 4. But maybe we can take a look at board 6, which is Jonah, Willow, and Borna.
Ooh, they're teammates, aren't they?
Derakhshani. I guess, yes,
I think they're teammates
they are.
The yeah.
Yeah, and we saw Jonah, the last time you were on stream, we saw Jonah lose an ending, right?
Oh, yeah.
Very unfortunate loss in that ending, but actually he's only lost this tournament. And he has had all wins or draws in his other games. So I guess today he is the stronger player. He's hoping for a win. We have a Sicilian. And we have a bishop b5 Sicilian. So
you played this?
Yeah, this is something I've played for sure. Saying I play it makes me sound like I know what I'm doing when I play it.
I think you do. But have more trust in yourself. Because I remember you were telling us about that White doesn't get too worried about knight d4 and you leave your bishop.
Yeah, this is true. But I mean, here, if you can get the doubled pawns, this is the whole point, right? You're just going to play against the doubled pawns. And b3, basically, you try to stop black from ever liquidating this pawn. You can also just play d3. A couple of different ways to play. b3, f6 is interesting. Actually, haven't haven't seen f6 here, but it's the second most popular move. Usually just you start to develop your pieces because black has no development, but f6. And I guess in response to b3, it makes sense.
It looks like something I would not think about if I didn't know the opening.
Yeah, exactly. And it makes sense because this bishop is going to be worse and you're going to have a clamp on d4. But it's definitely a very unique, specific position. So d6, castles being a blunder or a mistake. Because we can just actually threaten to come in and damage your pawn structure.
Oh.
And also we have this tactic, right? So let's say some random move is played. We have this tactic, puzzle rush tactic of knight takes pawn and you take the rook on h8. Anyone who's done puzzle rush will be familiar with this idea. If you're not familiar with it, you need to do more puzzle rush. And here, actually, it's much better to just move the king because then you don't lose material. So, but then you can still, I guess, get the rook. Maybe you have to run all the way over here, and this is a very uncomfortable position to be in.
Yeah, you still lose the rook anyway.
Yeah, I mean, you're just going to lose the rook anyway, I guess. But then here, you have to be more careful, I guess.
Yeah,
you're forced to play knight f8 check, but you still win a piece, I think. It comes. No, you don't. It just comes with check and then queen takes. But you have the world's worst king.
Yeah.
So you're very happy it's white. So which is so funny, right? That Stockfish is out here calling this a mistake because what civilized chess player in this position goes, I'm going to set up this like 800 elo puzzle rush tactic. Maybe my FIDE master opponent won't see it.
Well, I think it's more that black will have, like, in order to defend, black will have to weaken their position. So g6, look at all of black's pawns on the 6th, which isn't ideal. So if you play g6 right now or move your queen,
this is
the queen
true.
is blocking the bishop. I mean, yeah, it's true. It's weird, but yeah. Also,
it's just quirky.
You do want to play f4 as well. So knight h4 is a useful move anyways.
Yeah, f4.
So you actually get it with tempo.
Yeah, you do get it with tempo, which is the unique thing about the position. It's very fun though. It's really, really fun position. Like I said, I'm not
black's
familiar with
the
f6.
Yeah.
You have to just hope that white isn't super booked up here, and I guess white wasn't because they just castled. But I mean, you don't have to be booked up to play this position as white, right?
Yeah, the whole reason you play bishop b5 is because you don't want to play theory.
Yeah, you don't want to play the open Sicilian, and so you're just going for a comfy position. Knight to e7 and c3 developing. c3, definitely not what I was expecting, but it is best. I guess here if you want to play for f4, you have to play knight e1, and I guess there's no longer any incentive to play bishop to b2 because of f6. So it's actually quite logical. We're already way out of any games. There's one game in this position, and knight h4 was still the move played in that position. So that's a bit strange. Knight h4 here makes less sense. Curious thing is that g5 is the top move. This position just gets more and more shocking every moment. Right? Okay, so c3, knight to g6. Now there is never any possibility of this. d4, c takes, so we let the pawns be undoubled. Bishop to e7, queen to c2, bishop to b7, and knight to c3. This is quite different from how the computer wanted things to be played, but I can understand why you would want a position like this. Is why you do just have beautiful central pawns. You have very nice knights which are, controlling the center, and you've got a safe king. Like you have everything that you should want. Yeah, exactly.
Except, I guess the one thing missing is you don't have the bishop pair, but yeah.
Yeah, this is true. This is true. And I guess that's why Stockfish evaluates this is actually very slightly more comfortable for black, but I think that's just computer rubbish because no white player is going to be complaining. Yeah.
That's true, but I guess with these, like maybe this is similar ideas to the hedgehog, where eventually you will attack back in the center, and then once your pieces open up, then, like for example, if you play f5 or c5, then once you trade one of those pawns, they will be isolated. So black is just waiting for the right moment to push in the center, and then your center will be under attack.
Yeah, this is true, and this is what black is thinking about now. Do they want to play for a c5 break? Do they want to play for an f5 break? What do they want to do? Do they want to wait another turn? Somebody in chat saying that h4 here would be winning, which is like quite an exaggeration, but it's a fun idea for sure to play this. Whenever there's a knight on g6, you want to look at h4.
Yeah, actually that knight is trapped. Oh, it has to go back to h8. So if
this is not fun. This isn't fun. But whenever there's a knight on g6, you just want to kick it away, don't you? You just want to run your h pawn up the board at it. So this will be fun. I'd love to check in. Speaking of h4, h5, I'd love to check in on Mr. Dodgy's game, where we left off at king to f1, very quirky move, and knight to e4 was played. So this is wow. Okay, so you're just allowing
queen takes h7.
You're just allowing it, and oh no, our DGT board broke.
Well, it'll fix.
Well, so I mean, this is
Oh.
This is maybe the position on the board, or close to it. Let me just check on the cloud. Yeah, allowing queen takes h7 is very bizarre and not something I would have expected from a 2000. Not something I would really expect from anybody. So what we have is the same DGT error. Okay, never mind. Never mind. But if we can assume that this is the position on the board, the point in this being an exclam brilliancy is that the bishop is hanging. You take the bishop, rook f4 check.
Yeah, rook h4 would be really nice. I hope he did. This is the position, because that's not an easy move to play.
I hope he played this. I mean, okay, let's look at this. Knight f6 with the tempo on the queen. You have to find knight to d6, only winning move. And so now there's only two legal moves. King to f8 and king to e7. If king to f8, you have a couple ways to win. You have rook takes knight, which is what you look at first because it's very forcing. And then you're threatening to take and mate soon. And you can also start with queen g6 and then threaten takes, takes, and takes as well. If queen c7 to make further threats, you can, I mean, you can either obviously take here, but you can just go for this still. And
yeah, this, then you bring your bishop in as well.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, here you can just take the rook, yeah.
Yeah.
But your bishop, I imagine, is also coming in. Yeah, bishop h5 looks really good.
So I have a couple of moves on the board. And so we have different move order. So we have knight df6 instead. And we have rook f4, which apparently allows for mate.
Oh my god, there's a smothered mate. I think there's smothered mate. Oh my god. Knight d2, king e1, knight f3 check, king f1, queen e1, sacrificing the queen, rook takes, and knight d2 checkmate. Oh my
possible
goodness.
only because the bishop has been cut off now by the rook on f4.
Oh my goodness. Well, I don't think this is on the board. I don't think this is on the board. No way is
Imagine
this on the
it
board.
is though. This is one checkmate.
No way.
And
This is a beautiful smothered mate. If this happens, David has played the game of his life.
you mean
Sorry,
that he got very
like
lucky.
this is like okay, you got sorry. What I mean is like this is like one of the nicest wins you can ever have. Like everyone dreams of getting a smothered mate.
If he finds this, this will be his favorite ever game to
Definitely.
show anybody
There's
ever.
only one check.
If he
This is,
doesn't
like,
find
was rushed.
this, if he
Yeah.
doesn't find this, he will never.
Oh yeah. I don't know, but I think there's just transmission error because this I don't think Dodgy would have ever left this on the board. Because
Okay.
I don't think he missed it. I think this is
Okay.
just transmission error. This is just
Okay. Fine. You're spoiling the fun. This is probably a DGT error. Yeah.
Yeah, this is definitely
I want to see this game for real. It's so spicy. I'm really frustrated. He's had DGT errors for almost every single game this tournament, and it does seem like some of these boards are very bad. Like it's not the organizer's fault at all. You know, when you're getting this many live boards, some of them are gonna be faulty.
Well. It's very normal.
Yeah, it happens at every tournament. It happened in Sitges, happened in Sligo, it happened at tournaments I've played before. Like, I don't think there's ever a chess tournament without one faulty DGT board, except maybe like the World Chess Championship or the candidates. But every tournament
if there's
seems
only
to have
like 2 or 3 live boards, it doesn't happen usually. But
yeah, and of course, a million times over, you would take having a large number of live boards over not wanting the chance that one of them is faulty, because we love to watch as many games as possible. So this is a much more human move than the crazy kinds of stuff that was looked at before. So we have A4.
But he's down to 23 minutes already.
A4, B4, knight A2, A5, because of course A5, and then rook C1. So I'm really not convinced by rook C1 because now your knight is stuck. I really would have thought that knight C1, knight D3, and then rook C1 would be the way. But okay, rook C1, rook C8. And why was this?
I think my connection is going. Oh, yeah.
You're seeming fine here.
Oh,
you're
I
fine
think I
for
was
us.
frozen for us. Okay.
You're not getting out that easily, Diana, from commentary.
Oops. No, I think for a second my connection went. But it's back. It should be back.
And now bishop to b5. Okay. This is interesting. I guess anytime you can always trade and play knight c1 so you can get the knight back into the game, or if rook takes, you can play knight takes. So black will never play rook takes. But actually we have somebody in our YouTube chat telling us there's a spicy pawn sacrifice on board too. So
yeah, this looks really nice.
Let's just go back a little bit so that you guys can see how we got here. Our last move we discussed was knight b3. So knight b4, just encouraging trades. Bishop takes b6, pawn takes, so black now has these doubled b-pawns. And queen to g4, because you can't take the queen because the bishop is pinned to the king. This is always like the kind of fun move to play, right? Where you can hang a piece.
Especially your queen, yeah.
Especially the queen. So, of course, g6 to stop queen takes g7. And now e6, pawn sacrifice. So f takes, and then queen takes is possible for these same tactical reasons. But you surely you do just play bishop takes. It's a temporary sacrifice, and it's really worth it for this vulnerable king, isn't it? Knight takes, and all of a sudden this is looking less fun for black. You're gonna get some stuff, some attack.
Yeah, it looks scary, especially the two rooks coming into E1 and D1. I mean, mostly just E1 looks scary.
Yeah, and black is thinking. I can see Marcos Collados at the board. He's like doing the big think. I'm not sure he's very happy about this move. I wouldn't be very happy about this move. It's kind of an idea that I was like, you're always thinking about it in these positions, right? When you have such
you played one of these moves. I remember your game.
Yeah.
I was thinking I commentated on something like this recently, and I think it was your game. Yeah, you found a really nice tactic.
Nice E6. Yeah. Oh, and he just takes the bishop. But now, of course, you take with check, don't you?
Yeah, and you can artificially castle rook f8.
Yes. Yeah, of course. This is what we'll see. But white still gets a lot of nice activity, and you have to play with these bad pawns as black. Like, if rook c1, rook c7 is possible.
Yeah, black's king looks vulnerable. Also, the pawn structure isn't ideal. Even though you have this passed pawn on d5.
Yeah. You really have to play something like knight c6 to stop any funny business. And now you can just centralize your pieces, or you can just play rook f, e or d1. Looks nice. This all looks pretty nice. So we have e takes f, king takes, and yeah, and then we'll just see knight takes b5. Cool. Well, I'm curious about Michael Duke won, so something happened. Some resignation happened.
It was probably the line that we were looking on, where the knight takes on d6 in the end, maybe.
Like this kind of line.
Yeah. Knight takes d6 and probably knight takes d6 and then king f8. Yeah, I think this is probably it. And now white, and then he can just take on g6, and it looks really good. Well, good for Dodgy.
I'm gonna ask him if he can send us the PGN. Alexandra tweeted, I've been playing chess tournaments for 20 years and I've never lost a game by default. I was too busy buying Narnia books and I didn't realize that my second game had already started. This is my worst nightmare. And she said, well, basically, we had a comment in chat earlier saying that this is the shortest turnaround they've had for the tournament, and that all of the other second rounds were starting at like 4 or 5. So this is way earlier than people maybe were used to. That's such a shame for her, because when you go to a tournament to stream your tournament, you never want to be in that position. And of course, you would never do it on purpose as a streamer.
Yeah.
I wonder.
Yeah. Oh, that's really tough for her.
Okay, I've asked Mr. Dodgy to send us his PGN, but I'm assuming he won't have his phone for a little while. He's probably analyzing with his opponent. Let's look at board 1, because I'm very curious about Vladislav's 21 minutes on the clock. Bishop to b5, rook to c7, and rook to c6, blunder.
Okay, I mean,
played.
I imagine that it's just transmission error. He probably took the rook.
We have rook takes c6, and transmission error.
Yeah.
Lots of transmission errors today. Okay. Nothing more frustrating as a commentator than transition errors. What I assume
we have some excitement.
I think this is what was played as rook takes, knight takes, because otherwise the knight wouldn't be on c1 in this line. So I think this is likely what we have. But let's take a look at board 2 where we don't have a transmission error.
Hopefully.
Knight takes b5. This is all exactly as expected. Just gonna let the organizers know about our transmission error on board 1.
Okay, here black is probably thinking about what to do, like rook f8 or rook e8. I mean, I imagine rook f8 is going to be on the board because you want to bring that king into g6, g8 next. So here, also, I mean, rook c8 also doesn't look so bad either, but definitely your priority is your king.
Yes, your priority is getting this king like castled as soon as possible for sure. We have a question in YouTube chat. Is transmission error worse than being a pawn up? For a commentator, yes. Yeah. For a commentator, it is worse. For a chess player, they don't care. So no. Depends what role you are assigned in the tournament. I think just rook f8 is very likely, very natural move here. And then rook c1 is the most natural follow-up, after which point I would expect to see knight to c3. We can talk a little bit about knight to a6 purely because it is the engine's top choice. Also does a job of covering c7 in a different way. And personally, for me, it feels a bit awkward, but I guess you can put the knight on c5 instead of c6 is the big difference. So your knight will come here instead. Rook cd1, and you can play knight to c5, which is quite creative, I think. And you're basically encouraging white to do this, which white will never do, because white will never let you have a protected passed pawn and fix the pawn structure. So it's not going to happen.
Yeah, here, I mean, I guess the knight will probably go into d4, and then you have the e6 square. Maybe you can put pressure there. Ideally, you would be able to get a check in, but you can't. And also, we'll probably see a rook lift, like rook c3 and rook f3 or rook h3 in the future.
One thing here is you can play rook c2, because if takes, you can check and take.
Yeah, that's nice.
Which is just a nice little thing. So you can actually double this way as well. Which would look like a transmission error very briefly before you see the check. And now that board 1 is broken, we need some new stories to follow. Maybe we will bring up. We have a draw
quick draw. Okay,
Lots
not
of
so
draws.
unsurprising.
Yeah, quick
it's hard
draw
to play
here
against your teammate.
Okay. Yeah. This is a very uneventful round, isn't it? Maybe we can have Jovanka's game back. Jovanka will do us proud for a fun, spicy game of chess. Let's get back to where we were. We kind of had this position where all of white's pieces were beautifully centralized. We had a knight on d4. Okay, and now bishop c5. This is a move we didn't see. And both of them are taking their time, actually. From around move 11, which is here, both of them started to spend a significant amount of time per move, especially considering that there's no time control. So both spending like upwards of 2 minutes on each move. Most of them upwards of 5. So actually...
very even time control as well.
Yeah, both of them are using a lot of time. And actually here... Jovanka spends 10 minutes to play this bishop c5 move. And this is interesting because what else do you play? I guess you're wanting to play bishop c5 to then play knight to e4, right? Would be nice to have both. Because then your rook is directly supporting your e-pawn if you're ever traded.
Yeah.
But now just queen to f5. And this was a 10-minute think before queen to f5, and then Jovanka spent 26 minutes.
Oh, what?
26 minutes, and she played a6.
No! Oh my goodness.
So I guess she saw something that spooked her a little bit. She didn't want knight b5 with a tempo on the queen. It's very easy to see something and be like, oh, I don't like that. And you know what the most annoying thing is? A lot of the time your opponent isn't even thinking about the thing that you're worried about. Or have you ever played a game where you're like, oh, I was so annoyed by this idea you have where you can do this, and your opponent's just like, I was never gonna do that.
Yeah, it doesn't even work.
It's so annoying because you spent all that time thinking about it and worrying about it, and then it just never happened. So bishop to f4 with a tempo on the queen, queen to c8, and bishop to e5. White has very nice pieces, and black's pieces have just been pushed back a little bit. It's not the most fun position to play because now there is this threat of takes, which is a very big threat, right? You know, like let's say nothing is really happening. This is quite scary. Basically losing.
Yeah, I guess you can trade queens first.
Yes. So I think she's thinking about if she should trade queens, if maybe she should take here and then trade the queens. And I mean, she's got the isolated pawn, so she doesn't want to trade queens. Yeah. But she's not got a lot of choices that she can make. And a move like knight to d7 feels quite uncomfortable to play.
Yeah, it's scary to move your knight away from the defending spot. Maybe she actually is just considering taking the knight on d4 because that's why she played maybe bishop c5.
Yes, that's true. So the only thing right about having an isolated queen's pawn is that you usually want to attack and keep pieces on the board, but she does take, and now she takes on f2. So this is a nice little intermezzo, like desperado, tactico thingy. So of course it comes with a check, so king takes, and then you grab a pawn before the trade. So this is actually quite nice, but you can still damage the pawn structure around the king.
Yeah.
And even though black is up a pawn, it's an isolated doubled f pawn.
Yeah, and you have also the h pawn isolated too. And this knight can be a great outpost. Can have a great outpost on d4 after knight f3, knight d4, and then also knight f5 as well is a nice square.
Yeah, exactly. These are the plans that you can just play g4 and be very nice. So, I mean, I was commentating Jovanka's game with Ketty the other day, and Ketty and I were both a little bit uncomfortable with some pawns that Jovanka had in the ending. She had some doubled isolated pawns, and she had an awkward e-pawn, and she just played the endgame like a super grandmaster and drew it. So I don't think she's worried, but she does seem to be playing against a much lower rated player. Because
I just saw his rating, 1800. He's playing really well.
Before we had her listed as playing against a 2444. And I remember that because I said that she was 2344 and she was listed as playing against 2444. So that must have been an error.
Well, I think that was the previous round which she drew. Or
oh no, you're absolutely right. Yeah. She did draw the previous round, 2444. Okay, so this is just the most annoying pairing in the world for her.
Yeah, what? He's playing so well.
Yeah. So he's probably about 5 years old. Prodigy, you know, he's up 122 rating points this tournament.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah. Youngster.
So, I mean, he was born in 2008. So that makes him 17?
Okay, not as
16?
young as we thought.
Yeah, not as young as I would have thought. But yeah, he's just a very strong kid who is like gaining a lot of points. I wonder why his current rating is so low. I don't really understand.
He's probably fluctuating a lot with K40.
Yeah. He hasn't really gained a lot recently, is the weird thing. Like he hasn't played. He hasn't been playing. That's it. So he didn't play since September.
Let's have a look at Keith's game.
Okay, we can look at Keith's.
Against the kid.
Okay.
They should be playing a lot of moves because I just keep checking their camera and I can see that they're constantly making moves. Oh, we already have an endgame. Okay, this looks straightforward.
Let's go back to where we were. So A6, rook E1, knight G4, H3.
He's not entertaining the kid playing fast. He's just doing the same thing.
Well, the kid was playing fast, but then the kid had to start thinking because he started losing. So knight takes, pawn takes, and bishop to E3. Queen C7, rook B1, preparing for maybe a B4. A5 to try and stop B4. And G4, that's fun. G4 is interesting. I'm not sure I would have seen this. I think
he just wants to take away from his opponent's counterplay with F5, I guess.
Take F5.
Yeah, this is a plan with the H3 line against the King's Indian, but here this is just well, it wasn't exactly a King's Indian at the start because Keith played E4, didn't he?
No, it was D4 King's Indian.
Sorry, it was okay. But I don't think it was the H3 line that I'm thinking about. But sometimes this is because if you think about it, in the King's Indian, Black's main plan is to play either E5, F5, or to play C5, and here there's a pawn on E5, so F5 looks like an easy idea for Black. So if you just take that away, it's hard for Black to find something.
Yeah, this is very true, and so H4 was played after the knight came through G4. But yeah, we just take away the F5 idea, very principled. And now this knight has to be rerouted because obviously it's very bad on B6, B3, knight D6. The knight does look all right here, but I wouldn't say Black has amazing pieces. F4, F6 to try and hold it together. F takes E, G5. Spicy stuff from Keith. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, nice play.
Keith just doesn't care. Like, he's just like, yeah, G4, G5. I love this. So fun. Rook F7, Rook F1, very principled. We're not encouraging the doubling. Okay, we have a comment in chat saying Finn's live rating is about 2100. There we go. So, seems like in the last 3 weeks he gained like 300 points. So normal. Okay. I guess if you're under 18 and you have that K40, you know, a good place.
Even with K20, I'm not even gaining 50.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Okay, so we're doubling and H4, Queen C8. I mean, Keith loves endgames. We know this. He's not afraid to trade off all the pieces anyway. But he has very nice control over the F file, and he's trading everything off. And he's just like, yeah, I'm going to win this endgame. I've got better pawns. You've got bad doubled pawns. And also, you don't know how to play endgames. So, King F7, King F3, And king e8, so the king is just going backwards. Interesting. So you can play e6 because obviously this just hangs the pawn. Okay, apparently not, because then just knight b6. Yeah, that's just a fair point. Well, I guess you can
also,
catch it this way.
Yeah. It's just vulnerable.
Okay, but this is not what was played anyway. You know, the really fun thing is bishop c5 is the top move, just to grab the pawns and then push your passes.
Yeah, and here you're also turning to play knight e6 and also knight b7, so you're gonna win the third pawn anyway.
Yeah, you're threatening to win the piece, so you win the pawn, and then you have 3 passed pawns, connected passed pawns.
Yeah, and you can't play king c7 to stop the knight, because then you still have knight e6 anyways.
Okay. I mean, this is obviously now going to be much better for white. You have an extra pawn and it's passed. So. And this is the position that we had when we opened, and Keith is just improving.
Yeah, he still has an hour and 12 minutes on the clock. He's playing faster than his opponent.
He says, take my bishop. I don't care. King takes, and you just can't stop the pawn. And his opponent is not resigning.
He probably will now. He probably will. I'm sure he will.
No, he's not. He's playing on.
Oh, he is playing.
His opponent is playing on.
No way.
Come on.
That's so funny. I mean, probably it's enjoyable to play with an extra queen. I wouldn't mind if my opponent didn't resign.
I guess the kid is happy to play Grandmaster. I don't know, like, maybe that's why he's not resigning. Keith does kind of just look like he's just like, when are you going to resign? Tiny human. Yeah, I mean, why not? Grab some more pawns, get some more queens.
Yeah, and the guy in the back is really interested in this game.
Oh, yeah. This seems like it was easy breezy for Keith. He's barely used any time. This has been like a blitz game for Keith.
Yeah, this is exactly what you wanted in your second round game of the day.
Yeah, exactly. Bishop to g7. And so, so Keith is on 3.5 out of 7. So he's slightly underperforming. He's down 4 rating points. For anyone who's not sure about how FIDE ratings work, as soon as you've reached 2400, you get K10, which means that it's harder to lose points. You lose half the normal amount of points. So it's not so bad. But he's down almost 4 points. He's got 2 buys that he took, so it doesn't help him for his pairings, I guess, taking 2 buys.
Right.
But when you're just here to play a chill tournament, I guess, like, you don't mind as much. And then he gets some nice wins like this. Unfortunately, he lost this morning against an international master, 2178 rated international master, Raymond Kaufman. But he has won this game, so. Patrick, on the other hand, his little opponent is up 20 points. That's very nice for him. And he should still be up some points after this game. Unfortunately, though, he did lose both of his games today, so that's always a bit frustrating. But
yeah, that's tough. But he was playing really strong opponents.
Yeah, exactly. He played an FM and a GM, and he had beaten an FM earlier in the tournament, so that's going to give you tough pairings. But he's still got tomorrow to grab 1 more point. Nice one, Keith.
Well done.
And I think it's just about time that we took a little break for a commentary. I'm gonna go and refill my water because I've run out. And we will see you guys in 5 to 10 minutes. We're back from our break. I have, in the spirit of the location of the competition, made a cup of tea. So
nice.
I actually don't drink that much tea now. I don't live in the UK, but here's my tea. So
I also actually don't drink that much tea anymore. But in Ireland, I used to drink all the time.
me too. In the UK, I used to drink it all the time.
Yeah.
And my mom drinks like 15 cups of tea a day,
What?
you know. Yeah, she's
No.
drinking a lot of tea. Maybe not
Wow.
15, but like 10.
That's
Like she's drinking a lot of tea.
yeah. I have a friend who would drink at least 5, and I thought that was a lot. 15. That's insane.
Okay, yeah, it's a lot. So actually, basically, Finchal has played this extremely well. Even knight f1 is by far the best move. This is really, really impressive. Obviously, we're just gonna put pressure on d5, and that's exactly what he does. Rook d4, stopping any pushes from coming, and now bringing the kings in. So actually, king g7 was a slight inaccuracy, allowing king b4, and king b4 is just very good, forcing b5. Jovanka is playing essentially against what may be even more powerful than Stockfish,
A4
a
is
17-year-old boy who's obsessed with chess. Like,
yeah,
he is playing so well.
He's playing really, really well.
He's playing incredibly accurately.
And he's not even using up that much time as well.
No, he's playing very, very, very good chess. So a4.
Maybe we're looking at the next big star.
Yeah, exactly. Obviously can't take it, hangs the bishop, so bishop c6, you've got to try and keep your material. A takes, B takes. And now
he's playing so well.
He's playing so well. He is playing so well. And this,
I guess like these moves do make sense, but still, like to get to this point is really great.
Yeah. I mean, this is where he's getting that 300 rating points that he's up on the live ratings, right? From, you know, all of these strong players he somehow is just getting great positions against. I mean, Jovanka should be able to hold this because she is an endgame
she is up a pawn,
wizard.
so definitely at least a draw, but she's probably hoping to win.
She's hoping to win, but it is White who's got the activity and is making the threats.
Yeah.
But yeah, she's definitely, I don't think she's worried here, unless she starts to go down on the clock. But it's still relatively even. I just wanted to see if board 1 has accurate moves again. So yes, we do. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
So we've got the board fixed, which is really great.
Yeah.
So I was actually very surprised that Black would do this. I said earlier, Black's never going to do that because it just, you know, lets the knight back into the game very simply for White. And now knight d3 is exactly where you would want this piece to go. You're either going to put it here, or you're just happy to control these squares. Of course, the bishop is guarding. Bishop to d6. Finally, so very much discouraging any type of castling happening. And now h3, renewing this idea of maybe castling. King to e7, Black doesn't want to castle. This is funny because actually castles is the best move here, but sometimes, sometimes your opponent just decides he doesn't want to castle for the whole game. You know?
Yeah, he'll probably just end up playing King e7 anyway. Oh, he did. Sorry, he did.
Yeah, he did. King e7. King e2. Both. The funny thing is the top line here goes castles, and both of them are like, nah, I don't want to do that. So King e2, King 7, and now doubling up on the c file. So this is very principal. You've only got one fully open file on the board, so you want to control it. You want to make the gun. We only have one rook, but we'll try and make the gun regardless. Rook c1, now the queen has to move. Queen to d1, and h4. Yeah, so otherwise the queen can maybe try to get in on the dark squares, but now she can't. And maybe even this bishop will be able to control this space if there's ever a threat on the king. So f6, queen c1, making the gun as White. Knight to b6, b3, and trades. I mean, this is just very equal equal position. We both have both bishops, one knight, queen. We have the same number of pawns. Someone's going to have to try to fight for something, and instead of fighting for stuff, we're trading queens.
Trading queens. I guess, I mean, it's tough because, well, they're both fighting for the prize.
Yeah, it's tough, but they're both tired too. And I think actually what Matthew will do is probably just try to stay up on the clock.
Yeah.
Pressure on the clock, because he is up half an hour, which is a really big deal when there's no extra time at move 40.
Yeah, definitely.
And they're only actually 27 moves in. And Vladyslav is really low on time, 13 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, probably he's going to take the queen because that queen and bishop combination looks very annoying.
I think so.
And yeah, we'll probably have some more trades, like bishop takes d3. That bishop on f5, even though it's in front of the pawn chain, I think you want to get rid of it.
Best piece. Yeah. And actually this bishop is not that great either. So you're gonna have to, I mean, it's interesting, right, that white never went for e4, but this is definitely possible. This transformation is something we could see. And there's actually not any bonus to having the bishop pair here.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely not, especially when your bishop is on t2.
Yeah, this is not a great bishop. And I mean, actually it was very nice h4 pawn push, because if this bishop ever did want to come through, you just play g5. The bishop's never coming through this way. Question in chat, do you have board camera for Finn versus Jovanka? Unfortunately, we only have board cameras for the top two boards and for a general board. I don't think that, I mean, maybe...
Oh, so actually, Jovanka
maybe
drew.
We can see Jovanka here. Oh, they've already made their draw?
She drew.
Yes, they've just made their draw now. So actually, we did see the final move. Rook e4, and she offered a draw. And her opponent accepted. Maybe not the best result for her, but I think she's happy to get out of there. She wants to get out of there, and she wants to do something else for sure. So this is over. And of course, he takes a draw in this position, down a pawn, and this is a very excellent draw for him, for his rating. It's a very good result. Well done, Finn. Very impressive. So let's just go and take a look generally at how things are going. So the top 3 games are all still going on. We had some kind of quick draws on some of the other top boards, but still a lot of games going on, considering the fact that it is the second round of the day. Still more games going on than not going on. So for some of you may be surprised how many live boards there are. I can paste the link for you guys in chat. What's up, Mr. Dodgy? Please could you let us know about your beautiful win, because we actually had a board error for you. And maybe we have it now. The board is fixed. It's fixed. Okay, so for those of you here who were watching when we were watching Mr. Dodgy's board, for some reason his opponent allowed Queen h7 check. After which point King f7, and this beautiful move was found, Rook h4. We were all very complimentary of this move, Mr. Dodgy.
Yeah, really
this is
nice
a beautiful move. This is amazing. And now knight bd7, Rook f4 check, knight df6, and knight d6 check.
Two exclams.
Really beautiful. Yeah, so you have two brilliant moves.
Yeah.
2 brilliant moves. The point being that if you take, then actually this is just free because the queen is pinning the bishop to the king, and there's actually going to be a checkmate in 7. This makes sense. I mean, the king has nowhere to go. So instead we have king to f8 because his opponent has calculated this, and now knight takes e4, rook takes e4, and bishop takes f6. And there is actually mate in 6. So that's really, really exciting. Of course, if you take the rook, then this is just going to be mate in 2. And if you play bishop takes, then rook takes is going to be mate as well. So this is really beautiful. Oh no, Mr. Dodgy, we had this crazy board transmission error for you, where it looked like you hung the most beautiful checkmate for your opponent. Let me show it to you, this checkmate that you hung. What was it? It was
something like rook
somehow
f4, knight f6.
somehow like black had an extra move, and then in this position you played here. This was our board transmission error.
Yeah.
And this hangs the smothered mate, knight d2. And this was what we had, and we were so worried. I was so worried that you had hung the smothered checkmate, and would have been really beautiful for your opponent, but we're obviously much happier that you won the game. I showed him that after the game, and he said, "Isn't that a perpetual?" Well, actually, even here, there's this mate as well. So he didn't see here that he had mate. How old was your opponent? Just curious. Just curious. Question in the chat, where is it happening? This is happening in the Isle of Wight, as potentially could be implied by the overlay, which says Isle of Wight International Chess Tournament, as does the title of the stream. He was 22 or 23? Ah, okay. But yeah, very nice win for you, Mr. Dodgy. Congratulations, and very nice quick win, given that it was a double round day. Sorry about your game this morning. I've just now seen that you lost this morning. But you know, you could win tomorrow, and then you can still finish on half. You win tomorrow. Not bad, right?
Yeah, and you're getting exciting games.
This game particularly was really exciting.
Yeah, really well played.
We were rooting for you. You were our streamer of the day, seeing as Alexandra accidentally defaulted. Should we have a look at Sebastian Bogner and Mads Vestby-Ellingsen? We talked about how black would never take here because you get a super knight. And so instead, just rook c8 and now king to h1. This is fun, king to h1. Usually a prophylactic move, but in this position doesn't really seem to do a lot. I guess you're just threatening to grab a pawn. I guess it really is just that basic because of this tactic Diana mentioned earlier. Of course, if you try to grab the pawn now, you lose the piece. So very, very basic move, just threatening this. And I guess it's forcing in that sense that you're forcing b5, but I don't think that black is that unhappy to play b5. What do you think, Diana?
Yeah, I mean, I think black is playing on the queen side probably. Also, you can maybe play queen c7 and then b4, and then you can put pressure on c2. But
yeah. Yeah, and it's fun because white actually still has to finish development, right? We're actually only 3 more moves ahead in real time, both players down to 20 minutes, and we're only on move 18. So we're still very early on in the game. Now knight to c4, bishop takes c4 is definitely a choice. I guess you
don't need to take it, I guess. Maybe you can just play.
I honestly don't think I would ever take it. I don't think I would ever take it. So I'm just trying to figure this one out.
I mean, probably you wanted to have to swap space with the bishop to bring their knight to d5, and maybe they also can attack d6 now directly on the file, because actually if you look at the bishop, it's a strong bishop on d5, but it has nowhere to go.
It doesn't. Yeah, and this is one of those times I just want to show you guys how like engine lines are not super realistic, because the top engine line is queen f3, knight takes d5, and I just don't think anyone's taking on d5 here really. I guess it wins a pawn, but like you do just give this knight the rest of the game, right? This knight is going to be great for
don't encourage
all eternity.
That's true.
Yeah, it's very materialistic way to play. But I guess also maybe this was seen, this line, and they were like, I don't want to give up a pawn for nothing. So this is potentially a reason why, because b2 does become a target, and you are always very aware of this dark squared bishop, and you do want to be able to develop your own dark squared bishop. And maybe b3 just is much too weakening. It's not going to be possible here because there are going to be like all sorts of tactics. With this knight being hanging and the rook hanging. So maybe the case is just that Mads saw something that they didn't like, decided to get rid of the knight, simplify things, and, say, maybe I'll just get my knight here anyway.
Yeah, I think that's probably exactly what he was thinking. Yeah, and
exactly.
d6.
Yeah, and now these pawns are being traded. Probably knight takes is coming. And actually much prefer this for black, because black is just ahead in activity. They have very good control here. The bishop really needs to be developed, but it's not clear where the best place is to go, especially because b2 will hang. So you probably have to start with a move like c3, which is another one of those like nothing moves that doesn't really do much, except it's forced, and you just really can't afford to give away this pawn for no reason. And then you really do just have a more comfortable position as black. Let's take a look at board 1, where Vladyslav Larkin is down to 7 minutes on the clock. So this is a position that we said was possible. And after queen c6,
I'm going to do a prediction for this.
Okay.
Because I think it's also, sorry, either I'll do a prediction for either this or I think board 2, Marcos versus Thomas. That's a really interesting position because, well, maybe the rooks will just come off. If the rooks come off, then it's less interesting, but I think White has a nice attack going.
Right, in this position between Sebastian Bogner and Mads Vestby-Ellingsen.
The other board, Marcos versus Thomas. I guess board 2.
Oh, board 2.
Yeah.
Yes. We'll take a look at board 2 in a second. Just want to catch up on board 1. And so we talked about this, and we talked about maybe black swapping bishop for a knight. But actually we saw g5, which is a bit strange. I guess it's giving an out for the bishop if it ever wants to come around here. But then e4 is possible, and e4 is a move that we've been talking about for a while. And we talked about it being played much earlier in the game. Yeah, exactly, finally. So this is a move where I asked, do you think he'll delay it? And I was worried he would delay it to the point where it wasn't going to be good anymore. But here it's actually very good. And playing it now instead of playing it earlier, he doesn't have to compromise on his king safety. All the heavy pieces are off the board. So there are no rooks, there are no queens. And if we just go back very quickly to this line earlier with e4, before all the pieces come off, then it looks a lot scarier, right? Because all of these lines to the king are
now
open.
Your king is a lot weaker, yeah.
Yeah,
and the queens are still on the board.
So playing e4 now is much lower risk. And bishop to g6, I guess g5 did just allow this, and then bishop to e3. So apparently there was a slight advantage for white here to be had in the case of e5, which is interesting.
Okay.
Because what you first calculate, right, is takes. This is what you calculate.
Wait, I think the g5 pawn is hanging. You can take with check on g5 first.
You're right. Yeah, you do this. You take here first. And then you take this, and then you're going to win the game.
Yeah. But, I mean, here you don't have to take... So... Yeah, here you don't have to take.
You can play.
Yeah. But I mean, after f4, actually, this looks really good. So you want to try to break up the pawn chain on the king side. and then your bishop can start to attack. For example, if the g pawn takes, then h4 is going to be vulnerable. So you want to try, to break up that pawn chain if you can. Okay, this is getting interesting.
You're suggesting that the game wasn't interesting?
I was thinking, well, I mean, even now, actually, since he didn't play e5, I think it's just the same as before. But I was thinking that it's just going to end up being a draw because neither player can break through. But e5 would have been a nice try, but he doesn't have much time.
I mean, he can still play it if White plays a less ambitious move.
Yeah.
Sorry, if Black plays a less ambitious move. And we have a move on the board. Just waiting for it to pop up for us. And that move is bishop to c7.
Okay, now he's avoiding that.
Yeah, so e5 is possible, but no longer with a tempo. And now you can just like trade these off, I guess, if you want to. And avoid any checks. But shall we take a look at board 2? This board that you said was super interesting. This was
well, I think
gambit.
Yeah, I think if the rooks were still on, I think it would be interesting. But of course, Black wants to get rid of that rook really quickly.
I'm super curious about how rook A just went all the way over to e1, not even stopping to threaten coming to c7 via c1. So rook A e1 is a really interesting move. If I wanted a rook on e1 personally, I probably would have put this rook, but then you would fork, so it's not possible. So I probably would have started with rook c1, which was the move that I was expecting to see. But rook A e1 and just king back, getting this king to safety, and rook all the way to e6, putting pressure on b6 and putting pressure on g6, maybe with some h4, h5 plans, potentially. I mean, actually, h4 was possible here because if you take, then this wins the piece. Always got to look for tactics. And then if they're not careful, there's even going to be more. But so h4 is possible even now. Even though it looks like it's not, it is. This is tactically defended, the pawn. So we have bishop to f8, best move on the board, and knight 3 to d4, and rook e7.
Probably transmission error. I mean, I imagine he took it.
Yeah, I think that this is likely a transmission error. We've had a lot of transmission errors today.
I mean, yeah, maybe he didn't, but I would think that he would just take it off. But maybe he didn't. Maybe he actually did play rook there.
Sorry, I'm trying to open their camera in a bigger format so I can see. Do you have it open?
Oh, sorry. Let me see.
No, it's fine.
Oh, no, he actually did play rook e7. I'm surprised.
Oh, yeah. Rook e7.
Okay, I would have thought that you would want to get rid of that rook. Now it is interesting. Because while that rook is on e6, it's just dominating the whole position.
And neither of them seem to have the fighting spirit to jam the f1. Like, we haven't seen super aggressive play today, and I think it's because it's round 2 of the day. I just want to see f4, f5, f6, f7, queen, f8.
Yeah, and yeah, okay, I would like that too. Also, White played rook e1 really quickly, and he just played it and left the board
down sometime on the clock. So he doesn't. I guess he's down 15. He's down 15 minutes to 19. So he wants to make sure that he doesn't let that gap widen. We've got someone in chat saying could have done knight f5. With knight f5 here, you can just take the rook because your knight is blocking the vision of the queen, and you can't get this check in because you're just giving away another piece, and now you've just lost material. So it's not possible.
Okay, we have one prediction, 69 points for White to win in Vlad's games. Get your points in. I predict that it's going to be a draw, but if you think Black is going to win, then put in your Town of Charms.
We don't have a lot of changes. We have Queen D7 in this position on board too. Indeed. Now
yeah, I'm so tempted to look for things like Rook takes G6. Those are my favorite. Discovered attack.
Yeah, it's not there though.
Yeah, it doesn't work.
I guess maybe that's one of the reasons for Rook E7 is if your bishop ever gets moved, deflected, you've got a piece to come to G7.
Yeah.
Actually, now you might even just be considering playing something like H3 to unpin your queen, because right now if your rooks move, your queen is hanging, and you don't want a Botez gambit right now.
Yeah.
We have a question in chat. What was better move than Rook F E1? So actually F4, this very, very energetic move is the top move. And reason being is we can attack the king. This king is looking a little bit breezy. The dark square is a little bit weakened, and we can try and play F5. So even if a move like Queen to D7 is played, F5 is possible. And this is really beautiful. Of course, you cannot take because of the pin, and you would not take anyway, even if your king was on H8. And this is just a really, really very nice attack. Just an initiative, I guess. And then if you want to just threaten takes, then you really need to sort this situation out first here. But you can actually start with H4.
Wow, get both of those pawns in there. Yeah, that looks good.
Yes.
It
yes,
looks
because
hard
the
to
argument is, what is Black doing other than, I mean, I guess Black can do this, but you're gonna lose the exchange, right? Or you're
the knight just has such a nice square.
Yeah, your knight is beautiful, and if they take, you are gonna lose the exchange, because you would want to take care. You don't want to let this knight live.
Yeah.
And it's just too weakening for like G7. So instead we have this more sane position, and you can't really play F4 here because you're starting to then have problems. Actually.
And if you play Rook E3, then you've got.
Now you have takes and takes and takes and takes. And,
and F4 is
you lose.
Or this is all, yeah.
Yeah, you're just losing material.
But I guess you can take on B6, and then you take there, take on B7.
Yeah.
I guess the past A pawn is really strong.
Yeah, it's just all of a sudden you have absolutely no attack whatsoever, right?
Yeah.
You went from Black actually having slightly weak king to Black having possible and they can push. So that's like the worst transformation ever for White. So H3 is played. This is actually the top engine move. Let's look at this board 3 game. And we were talking about this bishop takes knight move, which we found a bit strange. And we talked about how these pawns are just going to be traded off now. And now C3 is played, this kind of nothing move that you're forced to play because you don't want to lose material. And I think just White is very, very happy. Black can get a tempo, Black is very happy. Black can get a tempo on White's queen if they want to. And you look like you're getting into Black's territory, but you're not really. your rooks aren't even connected. So it's not fun. There's almost nowhere that you can develop your bishop to. It's quite uncomfortable. Can even start to threaten like these horrible ideas.
Yeah, you need to develop that bishop from c1. Bishop f4 needs to come in at some point. Probably now.
Yeah, bishop to f4. And then black continues to put pressure, make the gun. And now I want to see like... Bam, bam,
yeah, h5 is nice.
h5. And the engine doesn't love it because...
Oh, sorry, rook f7, yeah.
You can take
f7
first.
Is
so you have to chase the queen away first, maybe? Or chase the queen away this way first. It's safer.
Yeah, both look good.
And then you can play h5 if you want to. But basically it's just black who is having the initiative. Even though we're equal on material, you never want to be the one on the back foot who's just reacting to your opponent's moves. It's very tiring and it's demoralizing as well.
Yeah, especially when you've played so long.
Yeah, exactly. And black here is using some time. He's down to 7 minutes to 20. So this is going to be white's hope, is that if he can stay up on the clock, black won't be able to put too much pressure. But I'm sure black is deciding how he wants to continue, because a lot of things look good, right? Queen e2 threatens mate in 1. Rook c6 threatens the queen. Just rook e8 is incredibly principled move. We're also having threats of queen e1. There's lots of good moves. Yeah, I've spoiled for choice in this position as black.
Yeah. Maybe we can look at some endgames. There's
you love endgames.
There's two. I mean, I think it's like the exciting time when it's critical to find the best things.
You're always asking to look at endgames. Your coach would be so proud.
There's an imbalanced endgame Harry Lee versus Daniel Fischer.
Okay, I'm just zooming in on this camera, this board 3 camera for the viewers, and I'll open this endgame that you speak of. Do you have FOMO about this tournament, Diana? Do you wish you were playing?
No, I think I'm good. Especially after seeing Ivanka's opponent 1800 just completely outplaying her. I'm glad I'm not there.
Oh yeah, me too. I think I'm a no tournaments in the UK person now. The British kids are too strong.
Yeah, like, kids anywhere are just too strong.
But especially in the UK. Like in the UK and in India, they're the scariest, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so Daniel Fischer, and no, this is Daniel Gormally.
There.
Oh, here we go.
Yeah.
Daniel Fischer and Harry Lee. This is a nice imbalanced endgame where we have a bishop versus a rook, but we're up some pawns. Okay, who do you want to be here?
I think I would prefer black, actually.
You want to be black, right? Because
yeah.
You want to be the side with more pawns usually, if the material is equal. If the material is not equal, you want to be the side with the piece. But if you have enough pawns to compensate, you want to be the side with the pawns, because the rook can't become a queen, but any of the pawns can, basically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's harder because the rook has to keep an eye on the pawns, but the bishop is just going to stay there forever. I mean, the bishop also has to protect the pawns. But probably your idea is to try to exchange the f pawn for the e pawn, and then maybe you can push the d pawn down the board.
Yeah, you want to get rid of this one, and you want to have connected passes.
Yeah, it'll just be hard because the rook will start to check you, and you need to find a way to cover yourself. So that's maybe where the bishop can come in. But I think, yeah, I'll keep an eye on this because I think it's an interesting endgame. Because the engine says it's equal, but I think it's much harder to play with white.
Yes, and white is down a lot of time on the clock. He has only 5 minutes. Oh, and they
Oh, really? I would keep playing.
Wow.
Okay.
I guess your international master opponent offers you a draw. You take the draw.
Yeah. Okay, I mean, it's also a double round day. You can't,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, but still, like king f6. Oh, king f6. Then there's rook f5. So maybe it is just. Yeah, I'm just talking nonsense because
draw.
it's just an easy draw, I think.
Yes, and this means both players go into the final round on 5.5 points.
Another reason why I like looking at endgames is because they're closer to finishing, so I get the satisfaction of watching a game that's just finished.
That's true. Yeah, you get to see the result quite quickly. What else do we have going on? We have Maciej Czopor from Lawrence Cooper's 4NCL team with a completely winning end game against Kasper Tomaszewski from Poland, FIDE Master. Both FIDE Masters actually. But this is a nice end game because you're winning. So of course you have to play b5, sorry, b4 to b5, and you're gonna try to, I guess, win this pawn, and you're gonna try and create a passed pawn here at some point.
Yeah, and it's important, I guess, here as I mean, probably you can just take on c5 because it is a free pawn, but maybe you want to keep your pawns connected.
And we have someone in YouTube chat asking, how can I see my chess buddy playing? Depending on what category they're playing in, all of the Masters games, I believe, are on live boards, the link for which is now in the chat. If they're in the under 2000, the times and dates are different. Actually, under 2000 has already finished, I think. Finished yesterday. I think it was only a 6-round tournament.
Okay.
So, yeah, and there's a weekend congress going on right now. So round 3, basically on chess.com, you can filter by whichever category you want to look at. So it's a crazy how many live boards they have, right? Like, where did they get all the live boards? I've never seen a tournament with this many live boards.
I think Sligo helped give them some boards, I think, or they have the same similar context to them.
Yeah, I mean, I know when I was in London, the Isle of Man had given some boards for that, which I was surprised about because I just figured Chess and Bridge would have supplied them, but some of them had the Isle of Man logo on them, so I guess they really do just share all the boards between
they do.
English Chess Federation. They just send them to wherever the next tournament is, which is a good way of doing it, really.
Yeah.
Okay,
they're also really, really expensive.
They are really, really expensive. I really want to switch to board 1 because it's getting to the point where Vladyslav Larkin is down to 1 minute on the clock.
Okay.
So we have knight c5, d takes e, f takes e.
Also, Waterford Wizard let us know that the last government put in £1 million into British youth chess. I didn't know that.
Wow.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
That's crazy. Especially chess. Like, that's kind of crazy.
It's surprising.
Out of all the sports that they could have invested in.
Well, maybe it's the case that they were already giving to other sports, but they weren't giving to chess.
Yeah. I think also it's because of the 8-year-old
Badana?
Yeah.
Badana is a wonder. I love her. I can't wait to see how her career goes. She's very impressive.
I think she probably was a big influence to that.
Yeah, which is nice to think about. We have knight b6, bishop c6. We're just doing a bit of shuffling here. And knight c8 and bishop d7 is a repetition. So this is twofold repetition.
Okay.
So it looks like we might just get a repetition here. If bishop c6, this is threefold.
Okay.
Move is played. Yeah.
Oh, draw.
Yeah, repetition.
Oh, okay. So no one predicted that.
Yeah.
I think TJ is just going to lose his terms.
Yeah, so threefold repetition. This is, I think, actually a pretty good result for Vladyslav, given that he has 1 minute to 31 minutes on the clock. You know, and it's also good of Matthew to not try to pressure him on the clock. I guess it's White who's playing for it to try and get something here. But actually, Matthew has really been destroying the competition. He is gaining 2 points. So he only needs 11.
2,500.
He only needs 11 to get to 2,500 and get his Grandmaster title. So
wait, he has all the norms.
Yeah, I believe he has all the norms. Yeah.
That's so good.
Yeah, it's very impressive, right? And so I'm sure he would have loved to win this game, but this is no great loss. Like, it's not a big difference. Should be negligible change. So board 1 is now over. And that means we can take a look at board 2. So we've seen a brilliancy here after rook a e8. We've seen rook g6 check.
Oh, nice.
As Diana wanted. Here you go, Diana. Rook takes g6 check. Beautiful sacrifice. H takes g6 and queen takes d7. Queen takes queen. And of course, if rook takes, then rook takes rook on e8. So I guess black is just looking quickly at rook takes rook, but I don't think you want to go into 2 rooks for a queen when you've got the weaker king.
Yeah, especially with the knights.
The knights. Yeah, the knights. So I think here you do just take the queen and then allow white to take the rook. And you can play king f7, get a tempo on the rook. And this is a much more even position. Because the queen is so scary when she can give checks, right?
Yeah.
When your king is open and you're not safe, you don't want your opponent to be the only one with a queen as well.
Yeah.
So I think this is probably the transposition that we will see. This is the position currently. Queen takes d7. Nice, we had a couple of brilliant moves today. Actually, Mr. Dodgy playing 2 of the brilliant moves. We haven't had as many from the Grandmasters in today's game.
Yeah, the games have been quite even. A lot of draws.
Yeah, a lot of draws today. I think that's the problem with it being the second round, right?
Yeah.
Perhaps.
Speaking of
it's
draws,
best to have commentary for the first round. Yeah.
There's a rook endgame that was equal and now looks like it's not equal anymore. So sorry, it's Young Fun versus Theo. Yeah.
Yeah.
So White went wrong a few moves ago.
This was equal here. And king e3. Theo with a lot of time on the clock here. Grabbing this pawn. And yeah, now you're a bit stressed, right? Because black has the passer. And rook a5.
I mean,
a3.
even without your d3 pawn, it's still a draw, I think. So so this is most like it's always going to be a draw, yeah. But then I think White just started to well, maybe it's actually still a draw. Oh, sorry, yes.
Rook a7. Literally just the 50th move, the last move played by White is not good because you shouldn't allow this. Essentially, you don't have time.
Yeah, you don't want
time to do this.
Yeah. You don't
because
want to
now
remove your rook. Yeah, because the idea is that
no.
you want to keep the rook. So you don't want to keep the rook on the a file. So if black can defend the pawn laterally, then the rook is more active. So this just allows black to reroute.
To have an improved piece basically for free, because you get those two moves without any tempo.
Yeah, and now you can hide your king behind. So you can play king c5, king b4, king c3, king b2, and then you can hide your king around. But in the previous position, you can't, because the reason why it's a draw, even if you're a pawn down, is because you cannot hide your king from checks and you can't make progress. So that's a big miss.
Actually, this is an endgame that my coach and I covered before my last tournament. A similar position without these other pawns. You just have the passer, and they're so hard to draw. Like, I feel very vindicated that this CM has made a mistake, because this is not like trivial. This is not easy. Like, you can see it because we have the engine. But it's not easy. Okay, and now, rook e2 is not even the right move. So it's nice to see that the international master also doesn't know that it's winning. So yeah, I think that basically, so what was the way to hold this position? G4, and you start to create problems on this side of the board.
Okay, yeah, that's not so easy.
Would have thought that rook
I also would have played rook e3.
And then even
if you take the taking. Oh, you take the one on g7. Yeah, that's not so. This is difficult. Rook games.
It's fine, because actually this international master has blundered it back, or the CM has blundered it back. So I honestly feel like these kinds of endgames are impossible for anybody who's not Magnus Carlsen. Really, and it makes me feel a lot better about finding puzzles about these so difficult, because they're really hard, and there's a lot of nuance to them as well. You can have
definitely
5 like almost identical positions, and 3 are winning and 2 are drawing, or whatever. They're very difficult. And now g4 and creating problems. But yeah, this is a draw again. We'll see how that goes. Board 2, and we have this rook queen trade, king f7 and rook e3. So this could also end in a draw, honestly.
Yeah. Also, they're even on time as well, so there's not much.
Yeah. This could be another draw. Board 3, no change, nothing happening. Okay. Let's take a look at what's going on elsewhere. Loads of draws, like all of these top boards are draws. Board 5 doesn't count, it's a default. So what about Daniel Gormally? Seems to be winning in this position. He is up a pawn. Yeah. He's up a pawn. I'm gonna say something that sounds really unhinged. Okay. It feels like he has more pieces.
That's actually so true. That's like the perfect way to describe this position. And again,
it's because they're better coordinated.
Yeah, I've never heard this. 2 things already I've never heard: that the worst feeling is being up a pawn, and that even though there's the same pieces on the board, it looks like there's more. Because I was trying to think about this, like, why is this so winning? But you're right, it's just that the knight on f8 and rook on d1 are on their own.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just completely to do with piece coordination, right? Because imagine if this knight on f8 was on e5. That would be very different. And this bishop is also not super, you know? It's not amazing. And like black is trying to round up this pawn, I suppose. But it's not
That's
happening.
such a good way to say it. I love that phrase. What? That's so good. I'm gonna use that.
Thanks.
That's so good.
I'm very glad you didn't laugh at me when I said that.
I think that's like the perfect way to describe this, because when you look at it, like the knight on d4 is really nice, but then all of black's pieces are scattered, so you actually forget that they have some of them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it feels like they're playing with less material, exactly. So white should be very happy because, I mean, even though this bishop on g1 is not an excellent piece, it's doing a good job of defending this rook. Yeah. No, I mean, obviously, if our bishop could be elsewhere, I guess we would have it.
f4, d6.
Yeah, I think f4.
Yeah,
is where we would have it. Yeah.
Yeah, I guess our rook is tied down to g2, which is a little bit annoying, but our rook on c3, is also kind of tied down to the bishop, so
right, but bishop can maybe try and chase this rook away.
Yeah, I think I'm expecting something like this, because now you can move your rook wherever you want.
Yeah. And come in and start causing problems.
Yeah, probably already you can play rook c7 from c3.
Oh yeah, this is true.
Oh, but why is that bad? Oh, sorry, the pawn is just... Oh,
There's
your rook is no longer... Sorry, your bishop is pinned to the rook, so...
Yeah,
your bishop is not protected.
And he's up 15 minutes on the clock, so that's handy. Just g3, chase away the knight. And actually the knight is trapped. So... it's just simply trapped. No?
Wait, you're right. Yeah, that's just why. Wait, yeah, there's no sacrifice with the rook.
Yep. So engine 1's rook takes bishop. King takes and rook g3 as the best try, but it's not great.
Yeah, you still give up the exchange, I guess.
Yeah. But this actually is a lot more complicated now. So I guess this is something to go for. But actually here you can play g takes, which looks like it should be bad, but possible. Anything going on? I want there to be something going on. Okay, we can look at board 3.
Down to 3 minutes.
Yep. And so we were around here. And queen e2 was the move played, just simply threatening mate in 1. And mate in 1 was not allowed. What a shocker. And I guess that nothing move now is looking really useful. c3, stopping bishop to d4, actually being the best piece on the board is now the c3 pawn. Stopping mate. So rook e8, still making some threats along the e file, queen to d5, queen to e6. And should we trade the queens is the question. I think you do, right? Because black just has so much activity. Like takes, bishop gotta come out somewhere. I guess the bishop doesn't really have a good place to go. This bishop is the world's worst bishop.
It's not that bad.
No,
it's not that bad.
It's not that bad, but it is bad. It's bad. I guess you can play
You
bishop
just bring-
g3,
yeah, you
bishop
bring it to-
f2,
Yeah,
and bishop
I mean,
here after
even on
this.
even on f4, it's not that bad. Like you still have a lot of space. You're not blocked in by anything. If anything, you have more space than the bishop on g7.
Not great though, is it? Not great bishop.
It's not bad. Well, I think it's okay.
It's not great though. So actually, White decided he didn't want to trade queens.
Okay.
Rook e4, making the gun. Bishop to d2. And bishop to f8. Threatening now checks. h3 and f5, which apparently is not very
ambitious.
good. Yeah. Can you not play for something like rook e2?
Yeah, you definitely can. And then you can get your bishop into c5.
It's just that you can go for this and this isn't a threat because the queen is hanging.
Yeah, but I mean, it still looks good. If white ever takes, you just take, and then you get your rook on e2.
But f5, this is different. This is not what I was expecting at all. Oh, I have a cat.
Hello.
Better than the bishop that we saw in g1. Yeah, that's true. That's true. And we have rook a to d1. I'm gonna say this in a way that if you don't know me, you're not gonna realize that I'm kind of throwing shade here. This looks like the kind of move I would play.
Rook d1.
Like, yeah, and like not in a good way. It's not a great move.
Probably. I mean, once you move the bishop, you have the open file. Okay, it doesn't look great. Also, there's big X on it, which doesn't help.
The big X is not flattering for any move.
No.
But okay, like let's say we put put our bishop somewhere else. I
mean, the rook on d1 doesn't look bad.
It doesn't look bad.
Okay.
It's just
the biggest problem is the bishop and queen combination. Queen e5, looking at the h2 square.
This is problem. You have to play g3.
Yeah, now this looks really bad. You just lose that pawn.
Yeah, you do just lose a pawn. Bishop d6 is found, so
okay, nice move. I mean, this is the clear plan from black, is to just attack on the dark squares.
Okay, rook g1, I guess. You can do this now.
Yeah, that's true. But now your king side is even more weak. When black gets a rook on e2, it's gonna
Yeah, but I guess bishop f4 is coming, so you have to play prophylactic move, queen e6 or something like this. And now this is not so good. Because I guess if like this happens, bishop f4 are actually winning material, right?
Oh,
We're winning a piece.
Yeah, now your rook on d1 looks like a great piece.
Yeah, that's true, but this isn't gonna happen.
We'll see.
We'll see. I don't think it's gonna happen. What about board 2? Board 2, because we have a camera for board 2, so we should be there as much as possible. Bishop to g7, rook f3 check, king e7, rook e3 check. I wonder how this is gonna go. King f7, saying check me again, please, so I can go home, Mr. Grandmaster.
Oh,
and Mr.
he did.
Grandmaster says no. b3.
Oh, he didn't. Oh.
Knight c6, rook f3 check, because it's not a repetition now that the pawn and the knight have moved. And king g8 and rook d3.
Okay, they're really grinding this one.
So Thomas, he does not want a draw against a lower rated player. Thomas is already losing 6 rating points this tournament. Thomas doesn't want to lose anymore. So Thomas wants to win this game. And Marcos, he is gaining 8 rating points this tournament. So Marcus would probably be happy with a draw here because he's going to gain even more rating points. But you know, we're gonna see. And we have rook e7, so we got to stop any nonsense from coming in here. We don't want anything to happen with the rook. So I guess king f1 makes sense, doesn't it? To activate your king in the endgame and to control these 2 squares, which would be potential entry points for the black rook.
Yeah.
And now if black really wants to try and go for a draw, I guess they can try and trade everything off and hope that their pawns are not bad. But it does seem that their pawns are bad.
Yeah, I guess the problem is that the g6 pawn, is also isolated, and then you can maybe just on its own mainly, and then you can just get 2 passed pawns on the king side.
Yeah, this looks very bad. So I guess you keep as many minor pieces on as possible.
Okay, but they're getting lower and lower on time. Also, yeah. Both boards are very low on time. This one and board 3 or 2 and 3, yeah.
This is board 2. So board 3, yeah, we're down to 1 minute and 42.
So he needs to find rook g1.
Yeah. Funny is that there's also this idea, queen g1.
Oh, okay.
To preserve your pawn structure. It's the only way to preserve your pawn structure.
Okay. Yeah, that does, yeah.
Now rook e2. It's a very dominant position for black, right?
Yeah, it looks really nice for black.
Very, very nice.
I would be worried with white. Might even add your last piece onto the back rank and set up bishop c1, everything. Like queen g1, rook g1, these are hard moves to play.
Yeah, and you cannot play bishop to f4 now because
I guess that bishop is really strong. Oh, g3 was played.
Oh, g3 was played. Okay.
Okay, rook e2 is very...
rook e2 is very tempting.
Yeah.
Well, it's prophylactic, right? It anticipates queen e5. Not that you can play it now because of this bishop f4 idea I mentioned before. Actually very prophylactic. And this is still possible. I guess you could just put your bishop back on c1 because if you move your bishop away, you hang the pawn, right? And if you don't move your bishop away, then your rook is tied to d1. And then tactics start to arise when your pieces are tied to things.
Yeah.
And we've got win for Daniel Gormally. And he plays king takes... we have king takes g1, rook takes g1, king takes g1, rook g3 check, king h2.
Oh yeah, this is what we were looking at anyways.
And rook f4, and the point being that the knight is going to be trapped anyway.
Oh
no
yeah.
more checks. Yeah. So, lots of games over. Almost all of the top games over. We've got this game between International Master Andrew Greet and FIDE Master Adam Dorrance. Actually, I met Andrew Greet at the Olympiad. Just by chance, like our planes arrived in Chennai at the same time, and it was like 3 a.m. and the Scottish team was just there. Yeah.
I played him in the 4NCL game online, and I drew against him. That was actually during
really nice.
That was during like my first year of streaming, and it was really nice to have that live.
Damn, you peaked, Diana.
Yeah, I know.
No, I'm teasing you. Don't be silly.
5 years later hasn't happened.
No.
No,
You just
actually,
need to.
no. There is still some
You got to
good
get
with it.
Andrew Greet to come back for another 4 NCL match. There you go. So Andrew Greet, how is he doing in the tournament? He's currently on 4.5 out of 8, but he's down 18 points after losing in round 1 to candidate master Jinhao Lui, who was only 2043 rated. Unfortunately, after that,
Who came all the way from America.
Yeah, unfortunately after that he got some lower pairings, right? Because if you lose to 2000 in round 1, your pairings are going to be low. So he then went on to draw with another 2000. So this is where his rating was going. And then after that he's had only wins and draws. So not bad, I guess. His opponent in round 1 played a very good game. Kind of curious about that. Kind of curious. It seemed to have been an anomaly, though. He has had normal results for the rest of the tournament. And what is happening with Thomas Beerdsen? We have some G3 as well over here.
Okay, rook
E1 check, king to G2, rook to B1. I'm kind of surprised he let the rook come in like this.
Yeah, it doesn't look...
F1.
Yeah, but actually, I guess everything is defended because of the knight on D4, and then also... Well, wait, what if we trade everything and then the rook takes on B3? Does that work? Knight take... Oh, sorry, it's white. H4. Yeah, now if you take everything and then take on... Oh, I guess D4. Yeah, but then maybe you can play rook B4. Or B4, yeah, that also looks good. Oh, why is this so bad? Oh, you bring your rook behind to A1.
Yeah. I guess you can't push yet. You kind of have to just hope that white does...
This is a very hard position to hold with...
You can take, yeah. Yeah, I mean, if you could get this position, this would be great, right? But white wouldn't allow this.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm just surprised that he let the rook come in. Okay, so we've had some movements. So we've had the knight move to F3. And yeah, because the thing is you can't move the B knight, right? Because if you move the B knight, not only do you hang a piece, but even if this knight moves, then yeah, you're just hanging material. So you have to move the D knight. So knight F3, knight B4, rook E3, knight C6, and he seems to be shuffling. If white comes back, I think black would take a draw, but white is not in the mood for a draw, so rook E8 check.
Yeah, now white can go behind to take the B7, B6 pawn.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, I guess here you can just win it. You can just play knight D6 check.
So you have to do something else. Oh, you can't do that. Sorry, there's still a knight.
Oh, sorry, yeah.
You gotta go with your knight, I think.
Yeah, and you also have knight G5 check, which is a very annoying move as well. Maybe there's some... I mean, there's not... Well, I mean, there's not checkmate immediately, but if you protect... There's Mira. If you protect the knight on G5, you could be looking at 2 knight checkmate. Knight G5... And then if you have G4, I mean, okay, if you have pawn on G4, pawn on H4, well, actually, you kind of need that bishop on G7. That would be ideal.
So you just want me to shuffle the rook back?
Yeah, so actually, this is mate in a few moves.
Actually, there's mate anyway, yeah.
The other knight, other knight.
Really,
other knight.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
This is really beautiful.
Yeah. And now you can mate with the knight.
Sorry, my cat is like harassing me. Apparently we've got some exciting stuff going on board 18, so maybe we'll go there because not a whole lot is happening elsewhere. So yeah, this is the chaos. Yeah, it's a valid assessment. So wait, how did we get here? We had a rook exchange sack. in time trouble. Oh, they're both playing in time trouble. We had this exchange sack, and knight takes. And now, yeah, I actually don't understand this. Do you think that, okay, do you low-key think that White was just hoping that this would happen and they'd hang mate in one?
Oh! Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I see this happen so often recently, just like moves that look like good, but they're actually, sorry, moves that
It
look
doesn't
like...
do anything.
Yeah, I know.
It does literally nothing. Even I can see that. Sorry. Sorry.
Oh!
But sorry.
Don't put yourself
but yes,
down.
yes, yeah. If your opponent is in time trouble, okay, you're trying stuff. Queen F1 was played, trying to come in still and attack. And now this knight, oh, not taking the knight because we're afraid of checks. But there's no more checks. I guess they don't want this with taking... Okay, I don't really know why this wasn't played, but instead, rook d6, rook e3 with a tempo on the
just
queen.
discover attack.
Queen d5, queen a6, and knight d7.
Oh, the rook is pinned.
The rook is pinned. King
Oh,
c7.
wow. That's kind of crazy.
Queen a7.
Wow, White really saved this.
Yeah, right? Right. Queen b5, and then surely you take the rook. Yeah. No, we don't have a
Not the
camera for these
cleanest
guys.
game.
Sorry. Okay, so king takes, and you're just gonna be up material. You're up a piece. And you're a threatening mate. Right?
Yeah.
Like if you try and cover it.
I mean, the king is just so vulnerable here.
And wins now. Resignation. Well, that was spicy. That was very spicy. And board 1. Back to board 1. It seems to be over.
Is it? Oh no, board.
Oh no, sorry, board 2. Seems,
yeah.
Sorry. My bad. I switched to the wrong camera. My bad. Sorry. Okay. Bishop f8 played. Knight c3. Interesting because you can go knight d6, right? Because the bishop is pinned. But I guess then they can take this one. They can take it anyway. Knight c3, rook takes, knight takes. And I mean, I would have been inclined to give this check.
Yeah, I also was thinking about that.
I was just wondering, like, trying to figure out why this check is a blunder, and it's not. There's nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, you'll just take on b7 next after moving your knight.
But anyway, rook h8 with the tempo on the bishop, bishop c1, and now rook h7 you can take with check. I guess this is a bit messy.
Yeah. Oh, rook sacrifice, exchange sacrifice. And now we have similar thing like the previous imbalance endgame.
Yeah. Let's see if we get something like this. I have a feeling that the knight won't go to b5 at any point. What about board 4? Or board 3? So we have g3, h5, bishop g5, stopping pushes. Quite nice. Rook e2, rook f2, rook back, no trades when black has the initiative. And bishop to c5. And now this comes with a check. Important that you don't take and let all of these trades and let the king in, because now your king is cut off forever.
Yeah, all the pawns are going to go.
Yeah. The king h1 is actually the only move for white to stay in the game. White has been playing in time trouble and on increment and has been playing this. And black is
really
giving
accurately.
lots of checks. Yeah, black is giving lots of checks, but white's not falling for it. And now
black is happy
to yeah, this is a much better trade because the pawn is not going to hang and the king is not cut off.
Do we have their camera or no?
No, unfortunately, we don't have that camera.
Because I would like to... He played a move with 1 second on the clock.
Yeah, but usually the DGT is a bit... DGT right. Exaggerates.
This is like the video that you made. I was like, oh my goodness, how did you do that? Like, you did it perfectly on time.
Oh, actually, it was the first try.
Really?
Yeah, I was just lucky.
It was so good. When I saw 1 minute, I was like, oh, that's what... Sorry, 1 second. When I saw 1 second, I was like, oh, the surprise face felt real. Like, it felt like you looked at it, I was like, oh, you're actually surprised. that was really good.
Thank you.
Like, perfect acting.
Thank you.
Method acting.
Yeah, it was method acting. That's true. Okay, so this game is over, and we just have board 2 and board 3. So we've got board 2, and we've got knight c7 check, king d6. And we do have knight b5, king c5, rook b7, blunder or a mistake because of the exchange check. And the exchange check is not played.
Oh.
And now you can play like some rook c7 is played. Okay. Not going for the exchange sack. Interesting. Doesn't believe in the pawns. You got to believe in your pawns.
Yeah,
right?
it's tough to do, especially when white has 3 on the king side, but your 2 pawns are really strong, I guess. And your bishop is quite strong too.
Yeah, and I guess the fact that white doesn't have a bishop is a big deal as well, because he's only going to have
the knights are,
and a slow knight.
Yeah.
Yeah, and your king is very far away as white as well.
Yeah.
Oh, there have been a lot of draws today, and what does that change going into round 9 tomorrow? Final round. Well, the standings. I know we've still got board 2 and 3, but we currently have 2 people in the lead, Vladyslav, Larkin, and Maciej Wadsworth, both on 6.5. So looking at these 2 boards still going, both of them are... Okay, so Thomas Beerdsen is actually only on 5, so even if he wins this, he's not going to be in the lead. Marcus, if he were to win, would be joint first, but he would have to find this kind of exchange sack idea. And for board 3, Sebastian's on 5 and Mads is on 5. So even if either of them won, it would still be on 6. And there's a couple of people on 6, Daniel Gormally and Bobby Chang. Of course, if kind of Marcus loses or draws, then it's going to mean that Vladyslav and Maciej are in a clear half-point lead. And that means that tomorrow, because obviously they've played each other already, they can't play each other again. So they would play different people, which would mean if they both won tomorrow, then it would be on tie breaks, which could be interesting. And if Marcus were to win this, wait, he did it at the wrong time. He played the exchange sack, but it doesn't work now.
Oh.
Because of knight
d4 and
both of them.
Oh yeah, because the knight is pinned.
Yeah, and if takes. Oh, he's gonna be so upset. Okay, this is what we have on the board.
Yeah, and now he doesn't have a bishop. Instead, he has a knight, which is much more difficult because you can't control the other side of the board.
That's kind of devastating. Not gonna lie. F4
Damn,
is
it's sad that
coming.
he saw it. He saw the idea a bit too late.
Yeah. And now, like, I guess you just bring your king up and promote your pawns, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's still not that easy, I think, to play with for white because you still have to be worried about the 2 pawns, but
Yeah, you do.
it seems easier to play, but it's not that easy.
And then F4 is on the board.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, if Thomas wins this game, he's on 6, which means the only 2 people on 6.5 are Vladyslav and Matthew, who just played today and drew on board 1. And on board 3, Mad's playing with less than a minute on the clock against Sebastian. Sebastian having a slightly better position. Feels like a lot of things just happened because we traded the queens. And then, how did that bishop get out? Oh, it came out this way. Okay. Sorry, I was confused. I was like, oh yeah, the bishop came out this way. Okay, so white is still pushing for the win, but they're both playing very quickly. Mad's playing on increment. Sebastian trying not to go under 1 minute because then you're really panicking. Then you play b takes, and you try and push your pawn here as well. Right?
Yeah, this also doesn't look so easy. I mean, the engine says that black is much better, but
yeah,
it's not very obvious.
No, not to me either. What's been your favorite game of the day, Diana?
I'll go with Dodgy's game.
Yeah, I think Dodgy's game probably was the best game of the day. It's hard to beat with
mostly
beautiful
of that
sacrifices.
smothered mate tactic that didn't even happen.
But it didn't even happen.
I know.
Like it didn't even arise as an opportunity. But yeah, it was a beautiful game. And he had 2 brilliant moves, which is more than the Grandmasters did. This is actually the exact position that we have. And now c5, and I guess you are playing Battle of the Pawns. Rook a1. My cat is sitting behind me on my chair, and she started to lick my hand. She wants her dinner.
She wants food, yeah.
Yeah, she wants her dinner. Past dinner time. Come on, Mads. Bishop a5. What are you going to play? What have we got? 2 games that could go on for a relatively long time.
It's annoying because even though they're really low, they'll just keep building it. But I think that this is much easier for white to play. So I think we will see this probably in the next 5 minutes.
Yeah, that's true. The more the pawns start to roll down the board, the clearer it becomes.
Yeah.
For some reason, one of my headphones seems to run out of battery 25% faster than the other one.
That always happens to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know why, actually.
That
happens to me as well.
Not many boards still going. I feel bad for anyone who's still playing and had to play 2 games today. It's very, very tiring. There's only
what's
2.
this one? The Advic. Oh,
I
okay.
mean,
Yeah.
I mean, White should win this. I don't know really why Black has not resigned. You'd have to blunder 3 pawns here. Or you'd have to blunder at least F and G.
Yeah, I think White is fine.
This game will be over, which means essentially there's only 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other games going on. And a couple of these are also very close to being finished by the looks of things. Okay, some advantages, but not clear finishes. And lots of people in horrible time trouble. And Diana, to think we're going to be playing a 60-30 tournament, which is a time control shorter than anything I've ever played.
Is it? Have you never played
Yeah.
Rapid?
No, not over the board.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
But what about Blitz?
Yeah, but Blitz doesn't count. It's not real.
No, but tournaments, they do count.
Blitz doesn't count. It's not real.
Okay.
Well, tomorrow I will be joined by Katie again, who joined me for round 2 and 3. So for those of you who saw those rounds, I'm very excited for Katie to come back. She has some great stories, and she is also going to be excited, I think, to see how the tournament has gone. Yeah. Lots of changes. Obviously, when she left after round 3, it was still very early on, so it wasn't clear to say who was going to be in the lead. And we will be live tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. UK time or 11 a.m. Central European time. And that will be for round 9. So it's the final round of the Masters. And it's all to play for still. There is no one clear leader. Vladyslav and Matthew can still both win, and if they both lose tomorrow, then many others can still win. so it really is still all to play for. Okay, we have a now equal position. Between Sebastian and Mads, and Thomas making slow and steady progress. Very slow, very steady. Safe to say he will likely convert this one.
Yeah, I guess here actually F5 is a nice move because then you just create the
passage.
Yeah, the passage pawn, and it's too far away for the knight.
Yeah.
And then you can also use your rook. Yeah, rook c8.
Yeah, this is really beautiful.
Yeah, and it's nice because your rook can also protect your pawn queening and also protect the a pawn from promoting as well. Like you can also play like rook a6, and then you're helping your pawn promote, and also helping them from stopping. Yeah.
This is less clear on board 3. Still potential for a draw, but White really is pushing that path pawn, so obviously cannot be captured. And I guess you're actually threatening. Okay, you're not quite threatening to promote because you can't check and check and win anything. Because partly because of the bishop and partly because the king can connect with the rook. It's always the kind of trick you're looking out for in these, though.
Yeah.
And as we're coming to the end of our commentary today, I'll just check out who we're going to raid today on Twitch. Thank you, everybody, for joining us.
Yes, thanks for having me. commentate
Diana,
with you.
thank you so much for coming back. You're one of my favorite people to collaborate with. I've said this many times. Every time we collaborate, I feel the need to tell you so that you will agree to coming on my stream again.
That's so lovely.
Because I'm
I
just
think
worried
you're
next
the
time
main
you'll be
person
like,
that I
no.
collaborate with anyway. Like, I think on my stream, you're the main person that people have seen, and I always get messages like, why do you only collaborate with Lula?
Who's asking that?
Not in a bad way, but they're like, do you not have like friends other than Lula?
Rude.
But
What a
Lula
question.
is my only streamer friend.
That is rude. Okay, well, we are good streamer friends. We're also in real life friends now because we hung out outside of chess tournaments, so it's a different situation. And yeah, we have good chemistry. Thank you, chat. We do because we actually like each other. I think you can always tell if the chemistry is off.
Yeah, that's true.
It's off
Because
for a
actually,
reason.
I don't feel nervous at all. But a lot of the time, it's hard to commentate with people because you're worried to cut them off or say a joke or something.
Yeah, you can be concerned about like awkwardness and stuff. Actually, for those of you who might not know, commentating with Katie was actually the first time we'd ever spoken.
Really?
And yeah, and it was so easy. She's so lovely.
Yeah.
And she's so warm and friendly as well. And I don't think I've ever had an experience like that where it was so easy to collaborate with somebody I've never met before.
Yeah, it's really hard to
And so
find.
actually I was very grateful. But she's such a professional though, she does so much commentary that it's second nature to her, and you can really tell she is so good at it.
Yeah.
And I'm excited for her to join us again tomorrow. But yeah, it's you can usually tell between like TV presenters, between commentators, all of this stuff, you can tell the chemistry between them. So I think I'm gonna raid Ghasi February.
Yeah, I'll also go
today.
there.
So I hope you guys enjoyed the stream. In general, these are 4-hour streams, which is why we're ending. I know that these two games are still going, but they could be going technically for another hour. So if we were kind of a couple moves away from checkmate, it would be different. But I need to be bright-eyed and bushy-tailed for commentary tomorrow. So I'm going to go and make some dinner. I hope you guys enjoyed your time with us. I very much enjoyed it with Diana.
I enjoyed it too.
And I'll see you soon. Diana will be returning to my stream soon as well. So that's always exciting. And Diana, have a great rest of your weekend.
You too. Enjoy
everybody
your
else,
food.
I'll see you with Katie tomorrow. And have a good day. Have a good night.
Best of luck in the last round, and great job for all the commentary. When I'm not on, I'm still following.
I already rated.
Oh, sorry, but I mean it's true.
Thank you.
But also,
Bye,
we're still live on my account. Anyway.